Nice. Wasilisha habari kwa njia ya muziki ni kazi ngumu. Kuna wengine walinicheka sana, na wengine walinichukua kama mwenda wa simu. Kumbe maisha ya muziki ni kujikasa kimoyo. Usiposimama wima utaachana nayo, na hiyo ni talanta ambayo ulipewa na Mungu Baba. Na majaribu ni mengi sana ndipo itwe msanii. Msishangae nikitwa driver nice kadani ni mchezo. Nilitembea Kenya mzima na kuchapisha jina langu kwenye vioo. Ndio maana hivi leo matambua kama driver nice. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana. Lakini wazazi wangu, baba yangu na mama yangu, dada zangu na ndugu zangu hawakujua kama wamechaliwa na musanii katika familia yao. Walikuja kugundua wakati wa mapumziko, walipokuwa wametoka shambani wakipumzikia sebuleni. Wakinitazama kwenye runinga, walinitazama kwenye runinga, walinifananisha sura yangu na ile ya runinga. Kama mtoto nilikimia sana, si eti nilikosa la kunena, kwa sababu ningenena ningeasikia mengi sana. Kama mtoto mpotevu amejitokezea katika familia yetu. Baba yangu na mama yangu waliamua watengeneze mjadala kati yangu na muziki wangu. Baba yangu akafuatia hoja nyingi, kisha akafuatia na mama yangu, kisha dada zangu na ndugu zangu wakawa wa mwisho. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana. Baba yangu kaniuliza, mwanangu, mbona uliamua kuishi haya maisha ya usanii? We papa niachilie nicheze muziki, nicheze muziki. Mama yangu kaniuliza, mwanangu, mbona uliamua kuishi haya maisha ya usanii? We mama niachilie nicheze muziki, nicheze muziki. Mpenzi wangu kaniuliza, driver na mbona uliamua kuishi haya maisha ya usanii? We mpenzi niachilie nicheze muziki, nicheze muziki. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana. Wasanii tujikase na muziki, wasanii tujikase na muziki, tujikase na muziki, tujikase sana.
Welcome to the channel, and before I say anything, I have something I want to say. Sawa? And it reads, MAUREEN NYAWAGA says, wacha tusikie na tuone everything, instead ya kutuonesha vitu wewe mwenyewe zinakufurahisha. Umeanza kubo na hiyo tabia ya kuwa biased and showing us whatever is favorable to you. Ladies and gentlemen, hiyo ni criticism moja nimechukua serious. And because me am a man of my word, I'm a man of my people, nimeamua kufanya kitu moja leo. Issue ya leo is totally, entirely, completely run by you guys. Whatever you guys want to see, ndo kenye nafanya leo. Leo sifanyi kitu yote mimi, kenye nyinyi mnataka kuona ndo kenye ndafanya. What you guys want to see, it is what I am going to do. Special dedication to my sister MAUREEN. Sawa? So, kenye wewe unataka tufanye leo ni siku yenyu, hata let's a good Friday. Rada safi. Hiyo ndio kitu tunafanya leo. I hope MAUREEN atatokea. niko hapa hivi juu yenyu. Sawa? Now, sina kitu kingine kusema. So, nataka nini ndo mtaniambia. Mnataka kufanya nini? Naenda nayo. Sawa? Kuna show umejua umeona? Niambie. Big Buddy. Yes, penda sana. Welcome to the channel, guys. I appreciate. Okay? I really, truly and deeply appreciate kila mtu amekuja kutune in hapa hivi. Okay. Alo, nimekuja na tangazo. Right? Tufike to the school of hard knocks. Yeah. Mimi sina anything. Gashagwa ni FU6, FU20 OJ. Aro. Unataka kuona demu yangu? Sina demu sai. Nimesota hata siwezi fikiria kuona manzi. Unapeleka manzi wapi sai? Unaanza aje brother. Ile video ya jana ya men. Okay. Ilikuwa inasemekana Gen Z men are not the problem. Yeye anakuja right away.
Got us curves.
Kuna mwingine akona kitu kingine nataka kuona. I know. Hamwezi ona kitu naona. Acha na sort. Sai. Haya.
Mi nikamshuhudia nataka
Gen Z men are not Aya. Kila mtu amekaribishwa. Haya. Now. Let me make sure. Alo. Ay. Mbaya. Aya. Iko wapi? Ama nafaa kupeleka hii. Let me see. Hapo. Juu ya hiyo. Na sasa. Hii inaweza zima. Hii nyingine chini ifanye. Asi browser. Ni window capture.
Gen Z men are losers.
Weak little loser incels.
These Gen Z kids are just lazy.
And this notion that you as a Gen Z male are facing these obstacles that no other human has faced for all of human history. Like, read a book for once.
So actually, Gen Z men are having a hard time, and the data shows they didn't create it. They're disconnecting from work, school, dating, and society altogether, but at the heart of it, from their identity. And yet they're being blamed for all of it. But why is this?
I need to ask you something. Can you guys hear the video vizuri? Mnaweza sikia, si mnaona video poa, mnasikia video poa. Sawa. Chanike nini yangu M-Pesa hapa. Nasema
What's happening? In this video, we're exploring the data, the incentives, and the institutions behind this to find out exactly how Gen Z men have become so fragmented, why it's only getting worse, and what you can do about it before it's too late to turn back. Because once you see what they want to do with you, the spell breaks. One thing is clear, this is a crisis, and this is the most important video I've ever made on this channel. This is why. The truth is that while women are radically more progressive than men, men are not doing well either, just for very different reasons. There are nearly 7 million men in America's prime working years who are neither working nor even looking for work. They've simply vanished. But what are they doing? Are they all suddenly crypto millionaires? Well, they aren't in school either. In fall 2021, men made up only 42% of undergraduates. From 2010 to 2021, male undergraduate enrollment fell nearly 20% from 7.8 million to 6.5. NCES also reported that in 2022, only 57% of male high school completers immediately enrolled in college, compared to almost 70% of women. Well, maybe they're out there chasing girls or having families. Nope, Pew reports that 47% of adults under 30 are single, and young men are almost twice as likely to be single than young women.
Women woman with a college degree isn't interested in marrying a man without a college degree. Marriage has become a luxury item.
Pew also found that a quarter of US 40-year-olds had never married as of 2021, up from 6% in 1980. And in 2023, men accounted for nearly 80% of unalivings in the United States. We might want to ignore it, but this is the state that most men find themselves in. But if he isn't in the workforce, and he's not in school or getting married, and we only seem to notice him when he becomes a tragic statistic, then where is he?
Where are you? Niko na majenzi hapa. Majenzi mko wapi? Mnauliza kuna echo, nafinika kuna echo ama mimi nasikia vitu zangu. Jenzi mnauliziwa hapa hivi. Where are you? You the Jenzi mko wapi bro? Cause naona mademo on the other side wana live large, mademo wanafanya mambo yao vizuri, wanaishi. Nyi mko wapi? Where are you as a Jenzi boy? Ama ni as a Jenzi man? Tell me, where are you guys? Hamko shule, hamko kazi, hamuoi. Muko wapi? That is the question takuwa tukijibu leo. Haya vijana. Mtasema mali muko.
It is a dark truth that shows the unfairness of the world.
It turns out he's looking for an identity, because getting a job, getting an education, and building a family all assume that you already know what you are living for. Why work if you have nothing to work towards? Why learn if it serves no purpose? Why marry if life itself feels meaningless? These are the questions that modern men are asking, and that has led to the rise of subculture. I mean, why do we have so many of them? Literally millions, fragmented into tiny, self-sustaining echo chamber worlds. Little identity tribes, each one offering its own version of meaning, discipline, purpose, status, and even brotherhood. You have streaming and gaming culture where grown men spend thousands of hours grinding ranks, buying skins, following streamers, and pouring themselves into virtual worlds they will never actually build. You have sports betting culture where a 2026 Siena survey found that 52% of men aged 18 to 49 have an active online sportsbook account, and almost 50% of men in that same age range are actual bettors. You have car culture where a man's identity becomes whatever he drives, how loud it is, how fast it goes, and how many mods he can afford to bolt onto it. You have finance and hustle culture where young men are taught that their worth is measured by income, leverage, status, and the ability to monetize every last part of their lives. You have tech and science culture, porn culture, red pill culture, meme and irony culture, mountain crunchy nature people culture, biohacking culture, collector culture, bodybuilder influencer culture, political tribalism, trad masculinity culture, prepper culture, dopamine and travel culture. The truth is that never before in history has society been so fractured into tiny, isolated subcultures built around hyper-specific interests that rarely meaningfully interact with each other. But out of all of these growing subcultures, two are now rising above the rest.
We? Bro, hizo culture ni mob. We? Guy mse anafanya research yake poa. God damn it. Na funny thing hizo vitu zote ame-mention ni very relatable. Yani na understand hizo vitu zote amesema 100%.
Crystal methamphetamine as a stimulant and to lean max.
The first is Looksmaxxing. On the surface, it might just look innocent, but it's not just gym culture, it's not just fashion, it's not just skincare.
I'm getting jaw surgery soon. They basically make a cut, the lower jaw, and then move it forward and apply screws. How much is that gonna cost? $35,000.
I'm absolutely gone.
Right now, Pentastack is Adderall, DXM, ketamine, BDO, and pre-GABA.
It's an entire worldview built on the idea that a man's value is determined by his face, his frame, his symmetry, and his ability to optimize himself through whatever means necessary.
And it teaches and reinforces something called the black pill, which is the belief that looks determine how you are treated in the world.
And it's no longer fringe. One of the biggest Looksmaxxing hubs, Looksmaxx.org, drew about 4 million visits in March 2026 alone, with about 1.25.
Na kitambo hii Looksmaxxing haikuwa. Like right now it's a thing. Sijui kama mnajua story ya Looksmaxxing ni nini. But kitambo haikuwaga. Saa hii iko. Like it's a thing. Saa hii serious.
250,000 from the US. Another Looksmaxxing site pulled almost 500,000 visits in the same month, up 31% from February. GQ reports that Looksmaxxing has exploded from old incel-adjacent forums into mainstream TikTok culture to the point that the PSL rating system is now all the teenagers are referencing. Clavicular, now one of the most famous faces of Looksmaxxing, promotes bone smashing, literally hitting your face with a hammer to try to reshape the jaw and cheekbones.
You know, like bone smashing? So you do it here. And just to get like the cheekbone more prominent?
Yeah, so I'll like lay in my bed and punch myself in the face.
No. Says he began ordering testosterone and fat dissolvers online at 14 years old, claiming he may be infertile from years of steroid abuse, and uses
No way. Man, oh man. But let me just tell you, let me be honest with you, 100% guys. But women treat men who look good differently than they treat women. That they treat men who do not look good. Chanuambia ukweli. Men who look good, at least most of them have a foot in the door ya kudeal na madem. Madem pia wanataka wanaume anakaa poa. Tusidanganyane. Or just most of the time tunaangalia kitu tunadhani ni maboy pekee wanataka madem wanakaa poa. Madem super kuna kitu inaitwa pretty privilege. Sikudanganyi hata wanaume to a certain extent pia kuna pretty privilege. Nimeona nini comment ya Rix nimechanganisha. BBO umeachana na ukaanza live umechelewa. Simu yenye natumia acha shit ngoja. Tasijui nafunza nini ngoja nikushow. Hii kamera ilikuwa imezima. Sasa ndio ilikuwa na charge. Anyway, ilikuwa niwaambie nini? I was telling you guys like men who look good wako na advantage kushinda wanaume wakai poa. Mwanaume at least anaka handsome kiasi kwa mademu wengi atapata pretty privilege. Sijui kama inaitwa handsome privilege, sijui kuna kitu kayo but it's there. Nawaambia kitu iko. Unanipata? Msetu akikaa poa, mademu atakuwa drawn to him. Mse utapata ni mrefu, alafu ongezea looks kiasi akona misuli kwisha. Mademu atakuwa drawn to mtu kauyo. Than tu mtu tu ni kangengo, ndio anakaa tu yanaka. Mademu atampatia attention. So mtu asiwe kudanganya ati looks kwa mwanaume azijalishi, ni pesa pekee na jalisha. Utapata wewe unaweza kuwa na do, wewe kwa mafutani kwa maziwa, una maziwa mrefu mbaya. Banki iko inachezea yani makuota, 0 zako zimefika hadi 7. But the moment dem yako atakutana na mtu anakaa poa kukushinda, anamdishi. Sikudanganyi. Ata make sure amekulwa na msi alafu arudi kwako. So looks matter to a certain extent. Na ndio maana uchikisa hizi siku kuna hii culture ya Looksmaxxing. Ndio maana pata mko watu 28 na likes ni 5. Tafadhali ukiingia tu of course nimengoa. We do it live bro. We do it live. Rix alikuwa ameenda kuona matako kwa ile live stream ya sitoambia huyo mdem. Kini jueni alikuwa ameenda kuona matako. Rix nishakupeana. Whatever you are up to. Do some of you practice this Looksmaxxing stuff? Sijui kama mnafuatilia kitu ile serious. Mnafuatilia, guys want to look good? Because mimi nakumbuka kitambo ilikuwa mtu anapiga gym, mtu anafanya nini. Sasa some of you guys actually do this extra stuff? Kujipiga ngumi ndio
methamphetamine to suppress his appetite. He had nearly 180,000 Kick followers, more than 760 TikTok followers, and earned more than $100,000 from Kick in 1 month. Now, all of these things are eerily similar to some of the values that modern transhumanist thinkers like Peter Thiel are pushing.
Do you know who Peter Thiel is? Peter Thiel, yeah. He's a billionaire that owns Palantir.
I got invited to a Peter Thiel party. You think that's going to be a Diddy party? Probably.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. But at the same time, a counterforce is rising. Christianity. Gallup's new data shows that 42% of young men ages 18 to 29 say that religion is now very important in their lives, almost double from just a few years ago, and 40% of young men now attend religious services monthly or more, with 20,000 brand new converts to Orthodox Christianity this past Easter.
Since COVID, since 2020, they've just come out in droves. It's accelerating. Snowball. We do respect men in a way that a lot of other churches don't.
The golden question is, though, who is going to win man's identity? But in order to understand all of this and where it's heading, we really need to understand where this all started.
Hello. Deka moja, narudi hapo. And this is a question I really want to point this question out there. Ili swali nataka kuuliza, you as men, do you think pia nyinyi mko divided? Do you think there's some place, or do you think there's someone, ama there's somewhere you guys are identifying with? For example, kuna watu wanafuata God, kuna wanafuata Kibe, kuna wanafuata Amerix, kuna wanafuata Obina, kuna mwenye anafuata like wanaume gani sasa mkidhani wako like wako na influence? Wanaume gani sasa mkidhani wako na influence, watu wanawafuata, like people are following their teachings, people are following their identity? Wewe unafuata gani? Unanipata? Because nime notice by the tuko kila mtu akona nini yake. Hata mimi sijui kama niko na hiyo kitu. I'm one of those people who watu wanafuata cause wanatafuta identity yao sababu hapo hivyo. And is that a good thing though? Is that a good thing? But the reason taambia wanaume wana follow most of the time. I think the reason men are going back to church, it's because tumeona hii world I serve wanaume vizuri. This secular world is not for most men. Mtu yote ameona this world is not for most men. Like hii dunia utakuja ukae chini uanze kuona zile vitu zinafanyika, unagundua there's nothing really good kwa hii world. Cha nirudi kwa God. This is why so many men are Christian. Now remember, yesterday I told you, women are leaning more on the left, men are leaning more on the right. Women are being liberal, men are being conservative. Values zetu zinaenda hivi na hivi. Sawa? Now let's watch the video, my brothers. Let's watch the video. Pole pole sasa. Haya, pay attention. Ujue mali we lost ourselves at.
Because men didn't just wake up one day and forget what they are. For most of human history, a man's identity was not something he had to invent. It was embedded in reality itself. You worked with your hands, you lived near your family, you were known by your community, and you were measured against something real, tangible. Yep. Then everything began to shift. Industrialization was the first fracture. For thousands of years, a man's work was tangible. A farmer, a craftsman, a builder, you could see the result of your labor. It reflected you. It disciplined you. It tied you to a place and a people. But with the rise of the industrial system, that all changed. Work moved into factories, then into bureaucracies, then into offices. Tasks became more and more specialized, fragmented, and increasingly abstract.
I'm now waiting for the computer to answer me, and then I just flick a switch on the modem and replace the receiver.
Even those who celebrated industrial progress recognized that something human was being lost. At the same time, family structure began to erode as well. The multi-generational household, where fathers, sons, uncles, and grandfathers all lived in proximity, started to disappear. Industrial economies demanded mobility. Men left home for work. Families became smaller, more isolated, more fragile. Even secular sociologists like Emil Durkheim warned about this. He used the term anomie to describe a state where social norms collapse and individuals are left without clear guidance or purpose. And think about the world we live in now. When was the last time someone corrected you or someone looked out for you? In today's world, you can go years and years without interacting with anybody if you really want to. And then for the first time in history, something even more radical happened. Mass media. But before we dive into those, I just wanted to say that it's really difficult to find sponsors for videos like
Kwampole. Before acha akiplug yo nini yake. Acha ni ngoja.
They're free. The fact is these videos
I need to cook. Kuna kitu amesema hapo hivyo. Men we used to find our identity. By the way ni kweli. Because I remember at some point in time we kind of knew what we had to do. Unajua can make sense. Ulikuwa unajua wewe utachangia to the society by doing this and this. Utakuwa plumber, utakuwa electrician, utakuwa farmer, utakuwa businessman. Okay, which type of business are you gonna be running? Utakuwa unaget watu walikuwa na hizo identity. Utafanya kwa yani kwa hiyo utafanya kwa industry gani ya kuchangia. But umekuja uka notice these days hakuna hiyo. Familia pia ndio iko, na familia ilikuwa another very big contributor towards watu kufeel nikako na purpose ya kutaka kufanya vitu. Ina make sense? Like unapata mse alikuwa anajua mimi nitafika age fulani nitafute kazi, nipate bibi, nipate watoto, nile watoto, like your plan ilikuanga. Na ilikuwa unajua demo unapata ni vajo. Cause ukijituma hiyo design ulikuwa na rewardiwa. Na madem pia alikuwa anajua nafaa kufanya hiyo fete ilikuwa inaenda. Haungepata wife virahisi bila kujiprove. Na wife ungepata angekuwa wife wenye hata dem tu alikuwa atakumarika ndio ungeangukia ule type yako. Na hiyo most of the time it will happen. Ndio unapata kuna watu walikuwa na mabibi wawili, mabibi watatu. They overproved themselves. Mtu anaweza chunga familia moja na resources zibaki extra. Lakini these days your purpose haiko. Sikudanganye. Your identity hatuna. By the way lost. Na ndio unaona watu wengi hata hujui direction unaenda. Haujui. Kama mimi naweza kuambia watu wengi najua mabeste zangu, mtu wangu bro, hatu tu katanga maji, hatu shinda katoa melewa tu most of the time nawajua. Yani unaendangu unakaa hivi unaangalia inaitwa gani age group ama age ilikuwa inaitwa si age set, there was a identity, kuna ka word fulani kuna tumika, kuna ka age group fulani ukiangalia watu at least watu walikuwa classes 3 before you na pengine classes 2 after you. Kama ulikuwa class 5 unaangalia watu walikuwa class 8 ama unaangalia watu walikuwa class ilikuwa sema class 5 unaangalia watu walikuwa class 4 ama 3. Yo unacheki kuna venye mnajuana. Mimi nakwambia naangalia ngama maarifu wangu wa hiyo age bro. Watu wajomoka. Watu hawako anywhere near. Unaangalia hadi some of your classmates, schoolmates, watu mko mnasoma nao, mtu alikuwa kwa desk plan opposite pale, unaangalia life yake uko za rada. Identity hatuna. We cannot connect with them. We don't know what that is. Hata tujui. Ukiambia bro na identify nani, hakuna. Distractions iko most. Distractions iko mingi. Nigga alikuwa anajiplug, acha endelee kujiplug.
Information out there to the world as produced papers, film, television,
ndio hiyo.
Input on future topics. Back to the plot. With the rise of newspapers, film, television, and eventually the internet, the image of what a man is supposed to be was no longer primarily shaped by fathers or communities. It was projected onto millions of people at once, by whoever had the money to decide what that would be. Identity was no longer received. It was brought...
Please, hii kitu anakuka. Acha tunaambia kweli. Boys anakuka hapa hivi. I just want us to pay attention. Boys anakuka hapa hivi. Kuna kitu anasema hapa hivi nataka tu nini, because taki to miss your point. Let me be honest with you, because nataka tu kuelezea kitu. But before niseme point, Khalid amesema sahi identity wanafanya ikuwe more about money rather than what una contribute to society. That's very true. And to the point, people are taking loans, making videos with this money yenye wametoa kwa hizo loans. Yani sahi like right now the game, I was thinking about this. The game right now is to look like you have money. Look like you have money. Have a bunch of money. Zieke kwa kitanda, zilalie, zihesabu, patia demu yako zihesabu, zitoe kwa bag, zieke kwa nini. Like, onekana nika uko na do. Na hapo hivyo all of a sudden, people will start paying attention to you. Venye pesa yako unatafuta, haijalishi. Juzi hapa tumeona kwanza hiyo video linibamba na pika niwasha. Wale wasaliendo wakascam nini. Ilitwaje Safaricom na ilikuwa na nini? Ikitu ya kukopa. Ikitu ya kukopa na Safaricom ilikuwa nini? Na hiyo jina. Na hiyo Fuliza. Ilikuwa Fuliza. Ile Fuliza scam. Uliona. Wakashikwa. Kuna wale alikuwa na scam wasema juu. Unfortunately wakadedi. Soundi by them if identity ni boro kwa na ganji. Venye ganji na kuja ijalishi. Ganji ndio kubonga. Si wanasema siku hizi. Ibia mtu, huwa mtu, fanya mtu mbaya, banju ndio inaponga. Adui ni adui. Poverty is the enemy. Do anything. Bora usikue maskini. Very bad.
On future topics. Back to the plot. With the rise of newspapers, film, television, and eventually the internet, the image of what a man is... The rise of newspapers, film, television, and eventually the internet, the image of what a man is supposed to be was no longer primarily shaped by fathers or communities. It was projected onto millions of people at once, by whoever had the money to decide what that would be.
And guess who happened to be that? Mnajua ni nani walifanyia kitu? Ile reli inaendaga east. Hasa wana on majority of the media. Na wamekuwa ki on majority of the media. Na wamekuwa ki on majority of the information. Kila kitu tunajua, wala swali taka tujue. Acha niwaambie kitu. Everything you know that you will identify with. Movie yoyote ushaiona, ngoma yoyote ushaiona, story yoyote ushaisoma, nataka mjue wala wako pale juu, they decided hizi stories ta leak, hizi movies taonekana, hii news nitaripotiwa. Anything ilikuwa na go against that, ilikuwa na nyamazishwa hata before mimi na wewe tujue. Walikuwa wameon hizo nini zote, hizo movie nini zote. Izitwaje? Chanzite media houses, even those what's media houses. Hizo movie corporate, ni corporate movies. Like hizo za kuproduce ma movie, wala sasa walikuwa wamezi own. Unanipata? So wakaanza kutushapia identity yenye wao wanataka sisi tu identify nayo. Kumbuka, umse amesema point poa. Buddha zetu ndo alikuwa anatupia identity. Sasa Buddha haizi provide familia peke yake. Unapata senge kuna mabuddha, they have to travel. Wando tafute pesa. Buddha kako sijui ni Qatar. Mi Buddha yangu alikuwa Somalia. Buddha yangu akiwa Somalia, haizi kakwa hawa tu guide. Atapatia time saa ngapi. Unapata, mother pia ndio huyo anafaa ende kazi. Wewe umebaki ukifanya nini na TV? Na hiyo TV ndio inasasa. Hiyo TV ni wewe na hiyo TV. Wata make sure wewe ya akili yako wataimold venye wanatakia akili yako ijue. Anything and everything to share. Warner Brothers. Wanaitwa Warner Brothers. Kuna ingine zui ni Colombia. Zote zinaoniwa na wasemetokele nchi fulani kando ya Palestino. Na watu wametokea nchi fulani ya Palestino. Everything you've ever heard, everything you've ever watched, everything you've ever read, they made sure they approved it. So, usidhani watakuambia vitu zitakusaidia sana. Your research niwe mwenye ujipigie.
Identity was no longer received. It was broadcast, packaged, and consumed. Figures like Edward Bernays openly spoke about this shift. He described modern society as one in which, quote, the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. In other words, culture itself could be engineered. And when you combine all of this, alienated work, fractured families, anonymous cities, and manufactured identity, you don't just get confusion. You get a vacuum, a blank canvas, a space where something used to be that is now missing. And the question is no longer just what happened to men. The question is who or what stepped in to fill that void.
Yep. Kai, mtu ana make video poa haki singekuwa na hii gift. Like, amesema kila kitu. I don't think hata kuna kitu naweza changia hapo. Na hivyo tu nataka kupose. Kuna Musa amesema amepea point pa amesema religion was created to control the masses. The system is working. Religion and politics are one in the same. Divided and conquer is part of the game. Everything is by design. Yeah. Ino maana pastor atakwambia nyinyi mnafaa kuput happy wife happy life. Pastor ni simpanzi. Wewe umeenda amekufidio information ya mbafako. Umeenda ukaanza kuapply hizo vitu. Next thing unaona wife yako anakutoka. True. Identity should be about who you are, but now it's about what we are, what is around us na kuna watu wanani traders should be one.
While the Industrial Revolution was reshaping how men worked and lived, something else was quietly unraveling beneath the surface at the same time that cannot be ignored. A far more radical shift.
Our particular concept of a free society. I don't think that sin should have any particular place in secular society as such, because it's a religious concept and should remain there.
Most people assume that the sexual revolution was primarily about women, but that doesn't actually make sense if you really think about it. Like, why would a transformation that rewired something as fundamental as sexuality only affect half of humanity? If you change female standards, then the weak majority of men will adapt to them. And if you want...
Told you. And this is why hii video ya leo limeanza na kusema Maureen kuja hapa. Maureen aliona nikaa mimi naweka video inaonea madem. But kitu Maureen ashikanishi is if you can control the women, you can control the men. I gave you guys an... kwanza nitoe kitu hapa. Nataka kutumia kitu full screen. What she is missing is one thing. Acha niwapatie example. Ukieka club, women enter free. Men have to pay, let's say 1,000. Na uweke madem ya moja, kuna wanaume watapanga line wende waingie club imejaa madem. But there's no way and where utaipata ati madem wataambiwa waende walipe wapate club iko na maboy. Women get inside free. Men have to pay. Men will pay because men want women. Men want to be with women. Sawa. But if you say men get in free, women have to pay. Bro, hakuna mdema atalipa ende one mwanaume. Hakuna. So, if you can control the women, you can control the men. Remember, men manipulate the world into their liking. For example, mwanaume ataona hapa hivi kuna bushi. Next thing yakoza hii bushi naweza trim hii bushi ni kata hii bushi ni chimbe hii mtaro hii ground kidogo niweke foundation. The next thing you know, hiyo ni building imekuwa nyumba. Hapa hivi naona hii bushi spendi. Unajua ni aje? Na hii bushi inatoka hapa hadi Kericho. Walai. tumanipulate hizi mabushi, tukatekate, tuchimbue, tufanye nini. Next thing you know, hiyo ni lami, barabara. Inaenda wapi? Kutoka mali unaenda hadi Kericho. Men manipulate the world to their own liking. But guess who control the men? It's the women. The women control the men. This is why, to a certain extent these days, wanaume wanafeel hana purpose. Because wewe unataka familia, wewe unataka pengine wife. But wewe mtu mwenye unafaa kumari, yanaoneshwa wewe ni oppressor. Wewe utamkanyagia, wewe utamsumbua, wewe utampiga, wewe utamua. Do you think she'll want anything to do with you? Nothing. Sasa nenda kazi. Okay, kazi inaenda. Nenda kazi kutafutia nani? Because let me tell you, we are simple creatures. Simple. Mimi nipatie the least meme. Mshone ile meme ya kitanda, TV, PS na kakiti fulani moja na mwanaume anaishi the dream. That's all the men need. But ukipata ukiwa na wife, unaanza kupimpa hao, unaanza kununua di aquarium. Aquarium unanunulia nini? Unanunua gari kubwa unanunulia. Ingekuwa tu ni sisi wenyewe, ni hivyo. Ndio maana unapata wanaume hawana thirst, hawana quench ya kufanya kazi. Because unafanyia nini kazi? For what? Mnataka tu nifanye kazi tu niwasaidie mkate taxes zangu. Mademo wanitaki. Nyinyi pia mnanionyesha mimi ni oppressor. Purpose yangu ni gani? Hauna purpose. Some time back, men have found purpose in families. Men walikuwa na find identity in families. Hauna hiyo. Unaamka unaenda hapi asubuhi kufanya. It's useless. You get? Yeah. Sio ndo kitule mdema kushikanisha. Nikiwaambia ukiona mademo anapelekwa left, it is intentional. Ndio maana utapata madem kama saizi utapata there's so many Mario Naipeis hapa nje. Kuna Mario Naipei karibu 200. Ni vitu hawajulikani bado, but wako na the same characters wako nayo. But now every man is expected to be like Kanyari, but most men are like, why the hell should I do all this work? Mdema atoke kufanya mtu anafaa nikuje tu nimpatie pesa yangu tu kumpatia juu ni dem. Hapana. But that's the thing. Hello Maureen.
I want a whole video going into this topic in great depth. I have several on the sexual revolution that are a must-watch. But a question on many people's minds is, if society was really so Christian before all of this, and men were so strong and moral, how did this movement even have such force? Wouldn't men have just resisted it? Well, because the idea of that perfect pre-1950s Catholic America is nothing but a mere caricature that modern traditionalists like to cling to. In reality, things weren't so good in America already. The existing breakdown of so-called Christianity in the West was reflected by waning service attendances amongst Roman Catholics and Protestants. Religious formation was weak, shallow, and most people already had spiritually checked out, even though it didn't look like that on the outside. And so men fell for it. At its core, the sexual revolution separated sex from responsibility. For most of history, sex was tied to marriage, family, and consequence. It carried weight. It demanded something of you, commitment. But beginning in the mid-20th century, with the normalization of contraception, the collapse of sexual norms, and the cultural upheaval of the 1960s, that link was severed. Even the most influential figures in the sexual revolution, like Wilhelm Reich, argued that traditional sexual morality was a form of repression and tyranny. Around the same time, Alfred Kinsey published very controversial reports using data from minor rape victims that reframed sexual behavior as something fluid, widespread, and detached from moral structure totally.
Many of Kinsey's findings and techniques remain controversial, including his occasional reliance on the accounts of admitted child abusers. Still, he's widely hailed as a trailblazer in a previously taboo field.
And they received millions and millions of dollars in grants and funding from the Rockefellers. His first grant in 1941 was $1,600. Not too much, but by 1947, his project was pulling in about $40,000 to $100,000 a year, which keep in mind is about $600,000 to $1 million in today's currency. These ideas didn't stay academic, they reshaped culture, and when sex is no longer ordered towards responsibility, something strange happens. It becomes consumption, and pornography is the clearest example. What was once hidden, rare, and socially condemned is now instant, infinite, and algorithmically delivered, and the
One thing I need you to understand, back in the day, only the best of men had sex with the best of the women. Sawa. Najua mnawatch, acha ni cook, najua pia wezi tu nini. Back in the day, only the best of the men, like men who proved themselves ndo alikuwa na dinya madem. Haikuwa common tukudinya bro. Kuna watu wengi, uliza manko wetu, maguka zetu, mabesti wake, kuna wale wa kupataga madem virahisi. Ilikuwa ni kitu na but that was the normal. Unanipata? Sex ilikuwa inakuja kwa responsibility. Sasa hata mdem hakuwa lalala na wewe tu virahisi cause chances angeshika ball. Nezi teka kushika ball ya loser. So losers walikuwa nawekwa kando. Jiprove. Show us you are able to rise above. Unanipata? Kama huwezi jiprove utapata mdem. Sawa? Acha niwasomee Manastula amesema identity should be about who you are, but now it is about what we are and what's around us. So kama watu majority ni traders, you'll want to be one of them. True. Alafu Musa pia anasema the problem is that people are looking for identity outside themselves instead of looking within. Individualization, that's why we have so many things to distract us as a society of weak men. It's easy to control. I agree with you, but you gotta understand, bro, most of us who we think we have to look within ourselves, whatever it is inside ourselves, it was manipulated inside ourselves. Truly tuochishieba.
Effects are not subtle. Studies have linked instant, infinite, and what was once hidden, rare, and socially condemned is now instant, infinite, and algorithmically delivered, and the effects are not subtle. Studies have linked frequent pornography use to increased loneliness, decreased relationship satisfaction, and distorted expectations of intimacy. This diagram here shows the reward center of your brain. This is it on heroin, and this is it on pornography. Of your brain. This is it on heroin, and this is it on pornography.
The day I saw this image, I started crying. Nilianza kulia nikijua bro nimedamage brain yangu juu ya story ya mapono. Live. Hii picha ilinipatia the red pill I need. Na kusholi niliona hii picha bro nikaanza kulia. Sikudanganyi mbele ya God. I broke down watching this picture. Kitu ni umaga nikiimagine. Alafu ndo brain yako irudi back to normal, not really normal, inakuchukua 18 months. 18 months bro. Na pono iko everywhere bro. Ngwati iko kila mahali, kila Instagram ngwati kutoka asubuhi hadi asubuhi. X, hata tusianze story ya X, TikTok, Facebook. Fikiria platform yote unaweza fikiria ngwati imejaa. Watu tuna praise na kina Nancy. Tena hapa nimeonyesha Masi Masai pia alichangia into pornographic culture bila yeye kujua. Hiyo unavaa na ikunavaa hizo nini inaitwaje? What's the name of this? Hizi bikini. Yes unakaa poa, yes una feel poa, but you don't know you are adding into the salt into the ini yangwa. Bro sikudanganya. Adwa ikitata nikiangalia na niuma sana. Na hii shida yote lilijiletea tuna story ya mangwati za ujinga. Bro mimi nakwambia ngwati inakudamage. Oh my god, akingwati inakudamage mtu wangu. Alafu unajua ina attacking hapa hivi the frontal lobe. Sasa frontal lobe iko like acha mimi niambie venye naelewa. Sijaelewa kabisa juu research bado napiga. Ina affect your ability to be, ina affect your inaitwa nini? Si rationalization ni ration hapana. It's like ina affect your decision making. Unanipata? Kuna kwanga na kitu kwa brain yetu inakuanga ni kama kitu nitwaje? Acha nitafute word ya Kiswahili. Natabu kusema na Kizungu lakini inapotea. Basically inaitwa reward system. So basically most of the time venye tuliumbwa reward system zetu zinafaa kutoka kwa food na inafaa kutoka kwa sex. Like hiyo ni all mammals. Inatoka kwa food, inatoka kwa ngwati. Sawa? So say reward system yako either ukipata mdemsupo unataka kudinya inapiga dopamine pale. Ama ukiona chakula tamu unataka kunini, dopamine ina shoot, unaanza kufeel poa, unaanza kufeel excited. Hiyo ndio inakusukuma utake kuachieve ile kitu ndio dopamine ikwe poa. Sasa porno inaendanga pale hivyo kwa reward system, inaijaza dopamine yenye was never meant to be hapo hivyo, like inaipiga overload. Ni kama kupatiwa example, ni kama example ni unachingia wasi wanatupaga, ni kama unatupiwa ball. Ukitupiwa ball moja unaweza shika tennis ball, ukitupiwa ball mbili pengine unaweza ha. Lakini sasa dopamine inatupa ball karibu 1000 ama ball 300 at the same time. Unaweza shika yote, huwezi shika. Nendo kitu inakuja na kudamage. Hiyo kitu inakuja na kudamage mtu wangu. Haya, reward system yako ikuwa nini? Ikiwa affected, unapata wewe kitu inakuexcite sana sana ni ngwati. So kama uoni ngwati, uko depressed, uko sad, hauna ambition, hauna drive. Unanipata? Na hizo ndo zinakuchangia pia unapata haujui purpose yako ni gani, cause bro, umejikaranga akili wewe mwenyewe bila wewe kujua. Unajikaranga akili, unajiumiza we mwenyewe bila kujua. Alafu ikitu inakudanganya tingwati ni poa, hakuna benefit yote kwa ngwati. Acha hiyo nitawapatia, kuna video nitawapea story yangu ya ngwati yote full, hata sitaficha kitu yote. I will give you everything na evidence to prove.
They're practically indistinguishable. The truth is, you no longer have to build a life. You just have to align yourself with something on the internet. And this aligns very closely with the World Economic Forum statement that you will own nothing and you will be happy.
The transition from the industrial to the intelligent age is occurring at an exponential pace.
For decades, figures like Klaus Schwab have been openly describing a future defined by what he calls the fourth industrial revolution, a world where technology doesn't just change how we work, but fundamentally reshapes how we live, relate, and even understand what it means to be human. He writes that this new era will blur, quote, the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. At the same time, thinkers like Yuval Noah Harari have gone even further, describing human beings as, quote, hackable animals whose desires, decisions, and even identities can be understood and eventually engineered through data.
We need to realize that humans are now hackable animals. You can hack them.
I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. You know, the whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will, that's over.
2 minutes later.
Personally, I feel most for really the soul of my country, of my nation. In Israel at the moment, there is really a battle for the soul of the Israeli nation, but it...
Anongelele ile reli nenda east, ndio? Anongelele reli nenda wapi? East. Mtu wangu. Nakumbuka, nakwambia ukweli leo. Yani hata naweza shika Bible. Kene mtu unaamini Bible? Acha nitoe kitu full screen. Sitaki mkwe contradicted, nataka muone nikisema live. Sawa, ndio hii. Nataka kuambia hii ni Bible nimeshika live. God is my witness. Everything you've ever watched, everything you've ever heard, ili akwa approved na ile reli nenda east. Ile mbogi ya reli nenda east, wali make sure everything unajua, walikuwa nataka ujue. So, ukiona watu wengine siku hizi wanasema hawataki story ya God, ni hiyo reli ya east inawafanya wafikirie kitu kaa hiyo. But utaoneshwa, yes, God hayuko, Jesus hayuko, lakini hii reli ya east wako na Mungu wao wenye wewe unafaa kutii. Ana watu wameharibu. Ana watu wana own everything yenye unaweza fikiria kitu yoyote. Ngwati, watu wa reli ya kwenda east ndio wanazi own. Movie, mimi naweza waambia nini zote za ngoma. Ana watu wana, sisi watu weusi tunaambiwa ni poa, imba juu ya madawa, imba juu ya mabunduki, nyi mademi imbeni juu ya kutwaki, imbeni juu ya kudinywa na wanaume tofauti na sifu. Alafu watapush your shit, mtapelekwa podcast, mtapelekwa interviews, mtapigwa kwa mabillboard. Yani wewe utakuwa poster child wa takataka. Poster child wa takataka itakuwa wewe. But wanani wana benefit ile reli nenda east. Na kushow saa hii mtu wangu. Live na kushow. Na wao hawafanyi hizo vitu. Hawafanyi hizo shit. Wewe usizae, wewe about mtoi wako. Iyo mbogi inazaa watoto between 7 to 13. Sikudanganyi mtu wangu, watu between 7 to 13. Na ni gava inalipia.
never faced a catastrophe like we are dealing with right now, which is a spiritual.
Hey, time out. Kichwa 254 came in big with the 5 gifted super gift. Gifted members. Kuna watu watano hapo hivyo wamelipiwa gifted membership juu ya Kichwa 254. Asante sana my G. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Na wala watu wote mebaiwa membership. Chill Farm ya Meza Dex, Arsenal Pulse. Kuja unione nyuma ya tent. Omondison right. Asante. Hiyo namba ni full bro. Yeah manze. Naambia. Asante. Haya tuendelee. Big up my G. Thank you so much.
Catastrophe for Judaism itself.
And when you take a step back, you start to see the pattern. When you look at guys like Peter Thiel, the World Economic Forum, and all of the global elite, they commonly hover around and agree upon 3 main stated goals that we really need to understand. First, technocratic control.
But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
The old Marxist revolutionary fantasy of simply overthrowing the system through open communist revolt largely failed, and especially in the West, because it was just too obvious. It declared war on the existing order in a way that ordinary people could see, fear, and resist. But that doesn't mean that the deeper impulse disappeared. It simply adapted. And this is where you need to understand who the Fabian socialists are. And I have a video that goes a lot more into detail about the Fabians that you should watch. But for the most part, you need to understand this. To make it simple, there are 2 main schools of thought. There were the Marxist revolutionaries who thought that they could simply overthrow using violence and force. And the Fabians were another group of communists, but they disagreed with the Marxist approach. They favored an approach called gradualism. And this is where the idea of controlled opposition really took force in its modern context.
There's something I also wanted to say before I forget. Yeah. Wanatumia technology to control. What does they mean like technology to control? Number 1, wana change the language. Huwezi sema rape, unasema grape. Kwa video yake hajasema suicide, amesensa hiyo nini ya suicide. Nifanyie sahi experiment moja. Suko hapa hivi. Naomba nawapatia tu dakika 5. Hata 5 ni mingi. Dakika 3. Search ngoma ya YN Meli inaitwa suicide. YN Meli suicide. Uone before uchezeo video unaambiwa nini pale hivyo. Fanya hivyo haraka kama mtaenda. Fanya tu sahi, search tu YNW Meli, anaitwa YNW Meli suicide. Search hiyo jina. Uone before ucheze hiyo video ni nini unaambiwa. Chata nisionge, acha niifanye. Msiende. Don't go. Come back. Murife. Msiende. Acha niwafanyie hapa. Let me do it for you guys here. Please. Msiende kwanza. Let me just do it for you guys. Hapa tukiona kwanza.
The advantages of being a dude are only held by a certain amount.
Inasema nini? What does it say, my brothers? What does it say? Read it for me. Nataka tu kuonesha kitu. Mjue censorship iko hapa hivi, si jokes. Ndio inasema. Nimefinya play. The following content may contain suicide or self-harm topics. Okay? I understand, and do you understand? Unaelewa? Yani before watch unapigwa hiyo warning. I understand. Pengine wana assume, pengine wanadhani mtu akiwatch hiyo video anaweza kuwa ninaitwaje, motivated ama nini, ana feel ako push towards kwenda kujiumiza. Sasa ni ile unaoneshwa, yes, unaingia kwa video kama hiyo, but unaona hiyo kuna vitu hatufai kujua, because the more najua the more kukujia, but I regret knowing these things I know. Nachukia. I hate the fact that naona hizi vitu. But unadipata.
Control opposition is when a system allows, amplifies, or even subtly...
Kichwa tufavaza nimeweka kitu pia kwa MP. Hiyo nitaona. Simu ya M-Pesa na tu. Yeah, bro. Usifanye nitoke mbio. Usifanye nitoke mbio my G. Nitaona tu acha saa hii, nitaicheki maidha. Thank you so much kichwa tufa. Ujue unakaa mean clutch. Unakuja masaa za Kobe. Unajua zile masaa za Kobe Bryant game iko kwa line. Una perform. Asante sana. Man, you do not know how big I mean. Thank you, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Steers a supposed rebellion so that the rebellion never truly escapes its desired orbit. It looks anti-system. It feels anti-system. But in the end,
I'm sorry. Nimeongea sana hadi nika lose my train of thought. Nilikuwa nafuatilia kitu poa. Nika lose my train of thought. Ngoja, kiasi. So kuna two thoughts.
Could watch. But for the most part, you need to understand this. To make it simple, there were two main schools of thought. There were the Marxist revolutionaries who thought that they could simply overthrow using violence and force. And the Fabians were another group of communists, but they disagreed with the Marxist approach. They favored an approach called gradualism. And this is where the idea of controlled opposition really took force in its modern context. Controlled opposition is when a system allows, amplifies, or even subtly steers a supposed rebellion so that the rebellion never truly escapes its desired orbit. It looks anti-system. It feels anti-system. But in the end, it only drives people into a new position that is still useful to the system. Controlled opposition. And we...
Bro, controlled opposition. Nisikie. Acha nikupatie story. Ama nikupatie example. Pole. I know. Najua. Talk hata mwezi elewa story, but let me just give an example. Sawa. It's when controlled opposition is when the pastor tells you for you to be a real man, you have to take care of you have to make sure your wife is happy. Sawa. Does not tell you have to have your own identity. They want you to have your identity in your wife. Man, wewe unachunga bibi yako, uko sawa. Bibi yako hata kifanya kitu yote, usimwachilie, uko sawa. Wewe, wanaume, a real man pays for a date, pays for this, pays for that, and does not expect anything for that. At the end of the day, hiyo kitu inasaidia nini system? Haikusaidii wewe as a man, inasaidia nini system? I hope nime-explain vizuri. Kama hujaelewa nisamehe, unajua hata hapa hivi inaja. We're trying, my nigga.
People into a new position that is still useful to the system. Controlled opposition. And we can see it with our own eyes. That is what makes the modern culture war so revealing and obvious. On one side, the public is hit with increasingly radical forms of gender ideology, sexual politics, and the soft feminization of man. This is kind of the caricature that people have of Marxism. When you say Marxism, they think a blue-haired, fat, liberal woman on the street screaming with a sign up. But in reality, that is what they want you to think Marxism is. And when they place this new icon into society, the result is outrage and disgust and backlash. But that backlash does not automatically produce Christian men. More often, it produces an overcorrection and a more
Byron! What's up, G? Unigana kukigia masee mbaya sana. Poleni, kama mpendi umseizeni jo. Nimekuwa fan hapo hivyo.
Of libertarian right wing. Think more like Ben Shapiro and the whole Daily Wire sphere. A meme-driven, hyper-ironic, aestheticized right wing that looks rebellious but still bound by post-enlightenment, classical liberal, modern ideas, which are completely safe to the system.
I want to thank all of you who have turned out here. Want America to continue to grow and be strong so that we can beat all the libs.
But in reality, they are pushing their own identity. Kama kuna kitu nataka mchue, ama so-called mademu wa conservative. Lately, wamekuwa exposed that they are just feminist in disguise. Nika mimi kuje hapa, najifanya venye I am for you, man. But in reality, mini soy boy. Hata si soy boy, mini inaitwaje pandara. Kuna wano mwanapanda. Siku hizi kuna hii content ya pandering. Acha sijui katata. Wanapanda to the masses, wanapanda to the women. Au unaogopa kusema certain things cause unaogopa utakasirisha watu fulani. So unawaambia vitu wanataka kusikia. Tumeona hizo content ama tujaona hizo content? Tumeona hizo content ama tujaona hizo content? Where people are like, me I relate with this guy. Hakwangi judgmental. But in reality, he's playing the game. He's part of the system. Chacha kuongea more, bro.
Second, economic disruption and dependency. You might look at those statistics of all these men dropping out of the workforce and think that it's some accident, but the World Economic Forum's own Future of Jobs report said that by 2025, 85 million jobs may be displaced by a shift in the division of human labor between humans and machines. That is not fringe speculation, that is elite planning language, and once millions of people are pushed into unstable, fragmented forms of work, i.e. the gig economy, the next step becomes easier to sell. World Economic Forum published arguments have already said that the old income system is irretrievably broken and that we urgently need a 21st century income distribution system in which a basic income plays a central role, UBI. In the same piece, Guy Standing describes the modern precariat as people living in, quote, bits and pieces, life unstable, often unpaid labor, who increasingly lack agency and sovereignty. Yuval Noah Harari pushes the logic even further. He warns of a coming unworking class and asks, what should we do with all the superfluous, aka useless, people?
Superfluous basically is you are useful only when you are needed. Like wewe, tukikuhitaji, unafanya kitu for free, then tutakutaka. Na wanaume wengi siku hizi, we are superfluous. This is why women, in their fantasy, they will always fantasize of a man giving them money. They will always fantasize of a man doing something for them. But they will never in their wildest dream ever see themselves doing anything for them, man. Ndio maana system Kenya sasa hata tukiangalia hapo ndo mali tuko sasa as Kenya. Oh my God, Jesus guy. Niko bad.
The real climax of the whole project is not just behavioral control, but rewriting what man is.
We need to realize that humans are now hackable animals.
Exactly. We are very hackable. Kichwa 254 amesema, and that's why I stopped looking for a job, because where am I going? I'd rather start building my own shit now. Exactly. And a wise man once said, we are supposed to be working together, not working for someone. Mi na wewe tunafaa kuwa tuna work pamoja. Hatufai kuwa tunafanyia watu wengine kazi. Sasa nikionanga saa zingine tunaanza kulia story ya gava, ni pengine hatujapata tu kanjia ama kamins yenye tunaweza work pamoja. Tukapata njia ya kufanya kazi pamoja, tunaweza enda mbali sana mi na wewe. Tukakaa tu chini tu brainstorm vizuri, wewe uko na skill gani, mimi tusaidiane. Bro wangu, masista zangu, tutaenda mbali. But kila mtu mimi natafuta kazi. Hello.
You can hack them.
For centuries, the modern post-Enlightenment world told us that reason was neutral, that facts spoke for themselves, and that things are just obvious, and that morality could be built on autonomous reason and man alone. But now even the architects of the New Order quietly are admitting that technology is not value neutral at all. A World Economic Forum white paper argues that fourth industrial revolution requires quote-unquote values leadership, meaning leadership based on actual values and worldviews. And another World Economic Forum piece goes even further, saying that in the machine age, quote, the entire moral code may need to be rebooted. In other words, this is no longer about tools. It's about building a new moral framework, or you could say a religion, to fit a new technocratic world. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's ask ourselves, do we know of anyone or any figure or any movement that seems to perfectly fit like a glove into this new world order that these elites have described? Well, let's look at two different archetypes. First, the modern Looksmaxxer, the self-improvement optimizer, the aesthetic machine, someone like Clavicular. What makes him so revealing is that he keeps many of the traits the modern world claims to hate in men, seemingly quote-unquote right-wing traits, strength, aggression, ambition, competitiveness, hardness, but strips them of any higher purpose. They are severed from duty, sacrifice, and God and turned completely inwards towards vanity, pleasure, status, and self-obsession.
True. Now you become the God. Sasa unaachana sura God, wewe mwenyewe unataka kukuwa God.
Own admission. Like maybe you have this perspective because you've got your own show and you've got a lot more influence over the way that the country goes than just your average guy. But if you're just like one of the average viewers who's got no voice, who could risk potentially losing their job for saying the wrong thing in politics, I'm saying that they shouldn't really be concerning themselves with trying to change the tide of society.
This, my friends, is a disabled man, a castrated one, like a soldier without a firearm, disarmed, made self-satisfied, easily controllable, and that is why he is not a threat to the system at all. He looks strong on the outside, but he is perfectly safe for the world that made him. He will never build a Christian civilization. He will never father a holy family. He is too busy turning himself into a useless machine. Now compare that to an orthodox biblical Christian man. Take St. Paul. Paul was not weak, passive, or soft whatsoever. He was in fact known for being extremely intense, disciplined, zealous, and courageous, but after
Miswadanganye, on God, if I was mtu wa Bible character, ningekuwa Paul. Ningekuwa character wa Bible, ningekuwa Paul. Pole. Kuna point mtu amesema hapa nataka lazima ni cook hapa hivi. Mimi naambia ningekuwa anyone wa Bible, ningekuwa Paul. And my brother anaitwa Vince Real Plate amesema a book called 1824 talked about controlling language and restricted certain words because changing how people speak can change how ideas are expressed or understood. Is called newspeak. Are you talking about this book, brother man? Are you talking about this book? Yeah? Ino kitabu naongelea hii hapa. Katu mjue. Nikikujaga hapa show, sikujagi hapa mimi ni mtu omba faku, mimi ni mtu nakuaga nimepiga research. Na kuaga nimejaribu, na try to. Sasa niko part 2. So, my brothers. Okay? Lazima nige show off kitabu. Nimetu sasa nimesota, but in future kama ziwa kakingia nitakuwa na buy give books, nitakuwa na books kwangu. Mimi ni mtu napenda vitabu. Now, newspeak. Let me give an example of controlling language, of how people can speak. You do not say die. You say unalived. You do not say bad. You say ungood. Cheki, tunaendelea. You do not say ho, you say 3 or 4. You do not call them prostitutes, you call them sex workers. You do not say fat, you say thick. Do you kind of make sense? You don't call them short, you call them little people. Hello, bro. Unaelewa hiyo kitu ya newspeak na venye inakuwa reinforced na social media. Na hakuna tu wana consume kitu kushinda madem. Hakuna tu wana meza hii new world order kushinda madem. Sawa. But now I want to also know wameshajua kuna njia. Ndio maana anachiu clavicular ako very uniga ko famous. Hata too famous. But ukisikia zile madawa uniga ujidunga, mtu anajidunga zile madawa ngapi? Sasa unasikia hadi mwenye akisema ako infertile. Jua alianza kupiga steroids akiwa 14. Sasa yuko 21 ama 22. He has the lifestyle, he has the women, he has the money, he has the influence. Like he's like the perfect man ukiangalia vizuri. But hana God kwa life yake. So morals zake zinatoka from whatever yeye anaambiwa kena system ama kenye anafikiria. Na mimi na yeye hatuwezi ishi hivyo. But tuko na mali tunaelekea. Mimi na yeye hatuwezi ishi hivyo. As much as religion inakuanga na ujinga zake, siwezi wadanganya. For example, watu wa Bishop Prophet Odwor. Watu wa kanisa wako na tu magonjwa za akili zao. Pastor Kanyari pia kuna tu ugonjwa za akili zao. But me and you, we are better. I've seen better people being Christians than better people being secular. Kuna Kristo at least mtu akona akona morality fulani, akona utu fulani kushinda mtu wa secular. Unanipata? At least religion itakuonesha naenda kuibia mse, acha nifikirie, naweza umiza mse, naweza hatu mse, acha nisimwibie. Acha nisinyonge mama usiku. Najua tu ni mimi na huyu. Unapata? Dema amebleki. Na hakuna hata mse yako hapa hivi around. Na niko kutu but hii ni dhambi na niongelesha, acha niende. Lakini mtu secular, hata fikiria mara mbili. So as much as tuko na the far wagonjwa kwa story ya religion, pia kuna watu wako na pia uzuri kwa upande ya religion, but wanataka kuiondoa yote. So bila hiyo sasa sinamaanisha mimi na yeye tutakuwa tu wild goose. Yani tutakuwa wild. Tutakuwa nafanya kitu tunataka penye tunataka without any repercussions. Na nao na feel poa hii live. Aya, mkwage ready, hii video karibu kuisha. Leo nawachezea tu nyinyi kitu mnataka kuwatch. So make sure uko ready na kenye ulikuwa unataka kuona. But I was telling you earlier, me if I was a bishop, prophet, disciple, ningekuwa Paul. Me na Paul, one thing. A man away from God will try to fill the void with everything, lakini watashindwa. Na wataanza addiction, ndio at least you fill your void. Yes, it's true. Hey, manzi na feel. Hiyo story nitawapigia tu. Hiyo story nita make sure nimwapigia. Ya venye I had a void and I didn't know I didn't know I had a void. Kumbe hiyo void ilikuwa na fix na ngwati. Na kumbe at some point ngwati ndio ilikuwa na create a bigger void. But lazima ujue who is more likely kuingia kwa hiyo trap ya addiction. Unacheki kuna watu wako yani si lazima tu niga taingia kwa story ya addiction. Lazima tu kuna wademu wapendwa asipende wataingia kwa hiyo story ya sex life, wataingia kwa hiyo story ya addiction, wataingia tu kwa hiyo pande ya sex life. Yani kuna tu unajua huyu wewe lazima utaingia hii lifestyle. Kuna watu wako na hizo qualities. Anyway, to God be the glory. So what's the reason of using I don't know the reason of using Newspeak. To them it's about control. They want to control us very bad. Ndio maana mafuta itapanda leo. Watapanga hii mafuta, acha niwaambie acha kwanza nimalize story.
Turning himself into a useless
turudi. Najua naongea mob.
Like a soldier without
country goes.
Seems to perfectly fit like a glove into this new world order that these elites have described. Well, let's look at two different archetypes. First, the modern Looksmaxxer, the self-improvement optimizer, the aesthetic machine, someone like Clavicular. What makes him so revealing is that he keeps many of the traits the modern world claims to hate in men, seemingly quote-unquote right-wing traits, strength, aggression, ambition, competitiveness, hardness, but strips them of any higher purpose. They are severed from duty, sacrifice, and God and turned completely inwards towards vanity, pleasure, status, and self-obsession, by his own admission.
Like maybe you have this perspective because you've got your own show and you've got a lot more influence over the way that the country goes than just your average guy. But if you're just like one of the average viewers who's got no voice, who could risk potentially losing their job for saying the wrong thing in politics, I'm saying that they shouldn't really be concerning themselves with trying to change the tide of society.
This, my friends, is a disabled man, a castrated one, like a soldier without a firearm, disarmed, made self-satisfied, easily controllable, and that is why he is not a threat to the system at all. He looks strong on the outside, but he is perfectly safe for the world that made him. He will never build a Christian civilization. He will never father a holy family. He is too busy turning himself into a useless machine. Now compare that to an orthodox biblical Christian man. Take St. Paul. Paul was not weak, passive, or soft whatsoever. He was in fact known for being extremely intense, disciplined, zealous, and courageous, but after Christ seized him on the road to Damascus, those traits were transfigured. They didn't go away, but they're reoriented to a higher purpose.
Yeah.
His strength was poured out in withstanding beatings which he endured for the truth, fasting, imprisonment, and labor for the church. His intelligence served truth and pursuing others towards Christ, not manipulations for gain's sake. His boldness was not performance, but fearlessness before men because he feared God, not men.
Yeah.
His freedom was not the freedom to indulge himself, but the freedom to master himself and to spend himself for something eternal. To endure beatings, name-calling, imprisonment, and torture for the sake of truth. And that is exactly what modern man is unable to do in his current state, and why he remains so hopeless, because he is afraid of enduring the torture of what might happen if he stands up for the truth.
That is so true. That is so true. Okay, you remember the point I told you guys, the point of we no longer have a higher purpose. As I told you before, family. You having a family, that was like a higher purpose for you. So you knew what you had to do. Yes, nitaenda nitafute kazi, kwa hii kazi nitajituma, nitajiemas, nitapata promotion, nikipata promotion, unapata mlikuwa mnaishi umoja, mumehama mmeenda Buruburu, unaendelea kujituma, mnatoka Buruburu mnaenda watu kutoka Buruburu wanaenda wapi, seme kitu Lang'ata or something. Next thing umetoka Lang'ata, umejituma poa, umejipata Karen. Like that was the purpose. Ulianza na ng'ombe yako moja, ukienda ukatafuta ng'ombe nyingine JK, umeanza kufuga. Next thing unajua uko na ng'ombe 5. In the next 10 years uko na mbuzi. Yani hiyo ilikuwa purpose. Nimeanza na shamba yangu kadogo. Yani unapata siko unaelewa kitu tunamaanisha. You had to serve a higher purpose. Raundi hatuna hiyo higher purpose. It's not there. Not there at all. Ndio maana chikitu we are wondering. Jui au jui tunataka kudu. Unataka kufanya kitu but haujui hata uanze aje. You know you have to do something. You want to do something but hauna idea kenye unataka kudu. But unajua kuna kitu unataka kufanya. Unanipata? Hii ndio maana hata ni ukweli. Hata nikiona hiyo story ya St. Paul hapo hivyo, umse alikuwa anasimama before watu wachache anawaambia. Mind you alikuwa mtu mbaya. Alikuwa very bad person but akachenjiwa. Sasa after hapo akaanza kupigania nini? Church za siku hizi kama watu wafanye theatrics, unadhani watu wataingia church. Hii ndio maana nani anajua napima watu wazimu, lakini bishop, prophet, pastor Nganga atasimama pale ambia watu nataka ni 1,000 and people will be fighting to give him the money. Because also them, they are looking for that higher purpose. Church inaongelea God vizuri. Ati ni story ya God kina kulink na spirit yako, ukwe one thing, ukwe mtu full 100% Hautapata bro. Ati live stream inakuja kukufunza vitu za life. Live stream inataka kukufunza venye at least unaweza kuwa enlightened. Hautapata. Lakini acha ikuwe ni sijui stories za matako, sijui ni stories za bash. All of a sudden, your live stream inajana mbogi hivi. Cause controlling yenye ilikuja ikakuonesha hii ndio inafaa kuenda. Ina make sense. The road to heaven is usually very narrow. The road to the world ama nini inakuanga very wide. Siwezi wadanganya hata mimi. Si ati mimi ni righteous hata kidogo. Kama kuna mtu anajua naenda hell wa kwanza ni mimi. Hiyo nani kushua. Unanipata? But at least sasa tunajua why we are lost and what we can do. Ni nini tunaweza fanya tujicorrect. Because no one is coming to save us. No one. Not Big Bad, not Kibe, not Amerix, not Ruto, not Trump. None of that. It is me and you to save us. Because anaku mtu anakuja kutuokoa kuna. Mimi na tuko hapa vitu na discuss hizi vitu. Leo ni on Friday. Si ndio? Leo ni Friday. Watu majority of the people rather than wako Friday wanafanya nini sahi? Majority of the people Friday wanado nini sahi as we speak? They're not here, man. Watadhani hata sisi ni wagonjwa. Ati mmekaa mnasikiza mtu.
But the truth is that before Saul became Paul, he very much so identified with this lost modern man. In fact, even worse, he persecuted and killed Christians. But Christ nevertheless met and spoke to him on the road to Damascus. In less than an instant, Paul was converted and changed forever. And there is no reason why this cannot happen right now at this very moment with every man who hears the word of God, to be transformed into the greatest sword of God against the modern heresies and antichrists that are trying to use humanity for satanic and profane purposes. So what now? Well, we're in the year 2026 and things are not looking too great, but there is an upside to all this. This darkness is not just meant to paralyze you, it is truly a grace meant to show you exactly what Satan fears most. If it were truly over for us, the elites would not be fighting so hard, pouring so much energy, resources, and money into stopping true Christianity. Not an outward, vain Christianity just a name, but one that is unafraid of the cross, one that is unafraid of going to the death for Christ. But as
sawa. Neshi anasema mimi si mtu I talk bad about religion lakini I don't practice it. It doesn't make sense to me. Thank you. Now, my point is this. Yenye najabu kwa mena history ya religion. Najua religion iko painted na the worst picture cause I'm a bishop na I'm a pastor wana take advantage of wase. But nasema mtu akona like you cover like a sense of morality. Like wewe unajua difference between good and bad and you choose to do the right thing. That is the religion yenye mimi na identify nayo. Si ati sanda kuja hapa hivi ni kupreachie Jesus even though natamani sana ni kupreachie Jesus. But kuna I'd prefer nikikutana na mtu usiku kwa giza naweza prefer nikutane na mtu anaamini Jesus than mtu aamini kitu yoyote. At least najua mtu wa Jesus anaweza kuwa na thou shall not kill. Lakini huyo mwingine mwenye ana hiyo anaweza niumiza. Mtu aingie kwa duka yangu sijui ni nani, lakini akwa naamini historia ya Jesus, at least najua huyu haiwezi anza kuniibia duka yangu, nikiacha simu hapo atabeba. Sawa. See, it's not about the religion. It's certain practices zenye kuna watu wako kwa God, at least mimi najua ni watu wako na morality, at least najua ni watu wako na akili na roho ya utu. Hiyo ndio mimi nataka kuidentify na watu kama hao. Lakini sisi sema sasa ati fast 73 hours a day, anza siju kupea na 16% of your tithe nini. Hapana. I'm not talking about that. Hiyo ni poa, yes, kwa watu wanataka kupractice hiyo. But I'm just saying I'd rather be ama meet someone mwenye anaamini than mtu aamini. Sawa?
St. Paisios taught Christians must create a good uneasiness in the world, not a false comfort in delusion.
I love that. So, from where do you get your source of morality though? From the word of God, according to me. But Neshi unaonaje? Tupigie story. Acha nimalize hii video alafu nikupatie WhatsApp number nipigie to discuss hiyo kitu if you don't mind. Is it okay with you? If it's okay with you, niambie. Nikupatie WhatsApp number univutie sahi. Tuongee story, unieducate kiasi on your side.
But the kind of holy disturbance that wakes souls up to repentance. The truth is modern men lack discernment, commitment, and obedience, and those three things are found in their fullness in the Orthodox Church as Christ established it. This year, by some estimates, 20,000 people became Orthodox at Easter, including myself earlier this Lent. Glory to God for every single one of them, but in a world this broken, those are still rookie numbers. Let's make that number 200,000 next year. Maybe even 2 million. Until next time, this is Lungs of Faith, and as always, don't negotiate with terrorists.
Nice. Very nice, very nice. Now, he is pushing Christianity. Good for him. Hiyo ni yake. Sawa. Yacha afanye shughuli yake yenye ilimleta tao. Kila mtu anajua shughuli ilimleta tao. Yeye anapush hiyo story ya religion, which ni poa. At least, as I've said before, I'd rather meet na mtu anaamini God than mtu amini God. Sasa, ako wapi na Neshi? Ni aje utatueducate, nikupe namba utupigie to discuss your story, at least tupate teachings kutoka kwako. Kichwa tufavupa nasema me and you are the same boat on religion and God. Yeah, I know, please. Ara mimi naamini God, but to a certain extent, like kuna hizi vitu nye ukijua juu ya God na ujue juu ya wild ama ujue juu ya life, kuna venye unaweza zi-apply to yourself. Sawa? Yeah. But I'm not gonna be... Siamini hizo too blind, because I know faith without works is dead. Siwezi kaa, niseme bro, ndakuwa the best streamer, na nimekaa, sipigi shughuli. But nikikuja hapa tufanye discussion tuna nini, at least I know faith without works is dead. Because, okay, you don't need to... It's kwa Bible, but in reality, sina apply. It applies. Sijui venye busy itaenda, but naamini busy itaenda poa. Ndio hiyo. Believe si pia ndio hiyo. Unaamini. Wewe unajua tu mimi nimejituma hii wiki poa. Nimekuwa nikipiga zoezi poa, nimetrain kila kitu. Naamini nikienda game hivyo. Same thing. You don't need God to be a believer, but una understand teachings ni you reap what you sow. Stuff kaizo. Sawa. I have a question. Did God create us only to divide us into good and the bad people, like the bad will go to hell and the good in heaven? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, on that, it doesn't make sense. But, to a certain extent, I honestly believe, even though I may be wrong according to some pastor, but I believe heaven is what you make it hapa hivi kwa world. Hell ni pia kenye una make it kwa hii world. Unanipata? The church even used to crucify people, so saying the sun and not the earth was the center of the... Yeah. Bro, kuna watu wanaamini ukijifunga bomb uende ujitupe umade watu utapata virgins. Sijui ni wanawanga 13 ama 70 mavajo. Na hadi kwa story ya vajo wanaambiwa kila siku wakiamka utamkula leo ni vajo, atamka kesho tena hiyo vajo yake. Kuna watu wanaamini hiyo stuff. Same thing, hiyo church hizo enzi walikuwa naamini unafaa kumada watu. But ukiona venye church siku hizi ko disrespected, do you think maybe it's disrespected because they used to kill wase kitambo? Ufai kusema kill, unafaa kusema unalive, because they used to unalive people kitambo. So pengine sahi they are paying back for what they used to do hizo siku. Nikoli kuna lazimisho kitu unafaa kuamini. But pia hiyo, it's another way of control. You get? It's another way of control. Kwa sababu ukiangalia nini ya Prophet War, kuna veje lazima mvae. Dress code ni moja. Hiyo kama si cult ni nini? Ingine hata mwezi sijui kula nyama ya nini gani. Cause hadi Bible inasema unafaa kujituma juwezi omba unataka kitu yet you're not putting in the work. That's why some people wanasemanga your side job or something is life hujui kujituma. Yeah, I'm not lying. There's this church I went to na nakumbuka hiyo verse who pastor preach kitu nimwambia faith without works is dead. And after the church akakuja na akasema si wengine wetu tunakujanga hapa kuombea Mungu ati Mungu sijui tupatie kazi, Mungu tubariki na pesa. Akoza after church alitoa wanaume akakalisha chini na akafungua hapo hivyo chama. Nikiwa hiyo siku nivetu mimi nilikuwa nimeleta mdem fulani hapo mnaona alikuwa anaitwa Lucy, alikuwa deko mdishi. Ndio alikuwa amemzindikisha, alikuwa amehama hiyo area inaitwa Kayole. After Kayole ni Njiru. Ni Njiru. Sijui I think ni Njiru, siko sure. Kayole Njiru hapo hivyo. Sasa alikuwa amehama hivyo hizo area alikuwa tafuta church ndio nikampeleka. But waswali fungua chama hapo hivyo. Na akaambiwa tusipo apply hizi modern ways za kutengeneza pesa, hata Mungu venye tunamuomba sana hata tusaidia. And that's how vitu zinafanyika. Unaget kinamaanisha? Yeah. For example, kichwa 254 ako pale hivyo anatufunza story ya crypto na nini. Anaelewa. Ile skill yako nayo analearn kwa watu wengine ku perfect skill yake. Unanipata? Na watu wana move hivyo. So, now, that was someone mtu alikuwa amerequest hiyo video. So, kama kuna mtu akona video nataka kuwatch, feel free. Mark amesema, God created us but gave us free will. You can choose the bad and the good. Ni kama vile uniweza attend class ama ukose, but no lecture will follow up on you. It's for you to choose. Yeah. Oh, that's the best answer. According to Kenya nani ameuliza, Khalid akiuliza, Bible inasema tunafaa, ngoja. Ule msaliuliza Vince Coco akiuliza the church even used to nani aliuliza so anaitwa Beres na aliuliza did God create us only to divide us into the good and to the bad, and the good will go to heaven and the bad will go to hell? Maka amemjibu God created us and gave us free will, so it's upon you to choose. It's upon you to choose. But someone else also asked the question, how do you know what you're choosing is good and what you're choosing is bad? But you can just tell, like hata bila kuambiwa unaweza jua kitu mzuri na unaweza jua kitu mbaya. Sawa? But it's true. These days we are being told to be self worshipping. Because hata by the ukiangalia most of the messages by these days, I have just realized this. It's about Buddha, improve your life. Jijenge wewe. Jijenge, at least wewe enjoy life yako wewe kiwewe. Unanipata? Wewe jijenge uishi life yako wewe. Do you for you. Wewe jitume wende enjoy life yako. Ishi bali unataka, fanya kile unataka, yani nikaa wendo sasa umegeuza kwa hiyo story ya God. For abolition of religion as a whole and mass self-reflection towards connection, creativity, humanity. Yeah, true. I understand that. Yeah. It's needed because there are some people who never do anything in this life. Like, they do not go to job, they do not go anywhere. All they want to do is just pray and moan and weep and scream and jump and run and roll and zote, all in the name of religion. Yeah, true. So religion pia inaweza toka, inaweza saidia. Tunaweza grow sana za society. Sana. But you all know, religion ni busy. Kwa wale wako na akili wanajua masses zimelalisha, ni business kwao. Sawa. Musa anasema morals and values morals and values are intrinsic. That's why a little child knows when they do something wrong. It's all a matter of choice. We have a brain, that's why having discernment is very important. I agree with you. 1,000,000 ndio hiyo. Something Andrew Tate alisema back in the day. Akasema hata ukatupa watu hawajuani, watupe kwa island, hakuna rules, hakuna kitu yote, they will say, what establish tu kuna vitu fulani ufai kudu. How to ujapea rules, but what establish tu wao tu wenyone. Hapana, hii sifai kufanya hii sifai hii nafaa kufanya. Hao wenyewe they will just come up with the whatever instead of them. Na hizo rules not as if govern. Okay? Now, umsana make video poa. Mungu wangu. Kai. na admire kabisa. Now, is there something else someone else wants to watch? Leoni show iko run strictly by my fans. Mi leo siko hapa. Leo mi tu niko hapa kuongelea vitu naongelea. But show ni yenyu. Show ni yenyu. So kwa kuna kitu pengine unataka kuwatch, phone yako my G. Talk to us. You can acknowledge that there's God, but at the same time use your brain to deduce to deduce what his word says. Hii ujinga ya kudanganywa na mapasi ni watu watumiagi akili. Hata Bible inasema kuna false prophet. Exactly. This is why I always read Proverbs. Mi nasomanga tu Proverbs because wisdom iko pale ni mwenda. Wisdom iko pale hivyo ni mwenda. Wisdom inakuwaga kwa Proverbs, utaipata kwingine. Hautawai. Ndio maana unachikata kasa hii, nikiangalia hii ni chapter 3 inasema do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Sasa mtu wa kanisa atadhani fear the Lord ni fear God, but really in reality ni fear. Hizo teachings zenye God amekupea. God ni hizo vitu good, evil ni zile vitu mbaya. Fear anyway. Sawa. Still, I don't believe that our God is choosing. We are all his children. After all, he didn't create us only to end up in hell or heaven. All things are created by the powerful control of the master. Yeah, true. I agree with you 100%. Alafu remember what I told you earlier. Ile really nenda east. Hasa walikuwa in charge of publishing wherever. Unacheki, unakuja unaambiwa hii Bible sijui imeandikwa mara ngapi, wame rewrite sijui mara ngapi. So chances are whatever iko kwa Biblia zenye pengine tunasoma sahi, they wanted it to be there. They wanted people to know this information. Zile vitu poa zenye zinaongelea venye higher power kama zilikuwa za kukusaidia piti. Hizo wabeweka mahali. Unanipata? Nika system. Shule sasa ina change. Syllabus ushinde imechangewa. Syllabus tulisoma tukiwa toi syllabus watu wanasoma sasa. But kuna those two basic things zenye zita apply almost everywhere no matter what. The 3 categories. George Carlin. The 3 categories of brainwashing. In 24 minutes, leo mnapigwa red pill mbaya sana. I need to read this comment. Imeshinda nikiona hapa hivi. Shit. So it says religion is dependent on where you are born. For the most part, sasa unge kwa Muslim kama umezaliwa Saudi Arabia ama familia Islam. True. I was once in Somaliland and they kept trying to convert me to become a Muslim. Niga lilishindwa kuconvert because I know I'm a Christian. And the same thing, if I took someone from Somalia nimlete kwa Wakristo nijab kumconvert hata kubali. Ndo hapo hivyo unafaa realize yenyewe sijui kama ni brainwashing. It's very serious. Like it's embedded in you. It's in your subconscious. Unanipata? Alafu Musa anasema the pastors have understood how the game is played. That's why all they sell is hope. And hope is very expensive because the buyers have chosen religion as an escape. Thank you. Because if you were to tell someone this is the real world and this is how the real world is, most people do want to do that. Hawataki. Ndio maana kila mtu shina mtafuta distraction everywhere. Daily hakuna mtu anataka kuface the world venye iko. Kila mtu anatafuta distractions. Haya, tuendelee. Jeffrey Dahmer, hiyo joke ni funny. Inaelewa nini? inaitwa, what's the word of this thing? You drink ginger lemon. Bro. Kuna ginger, kuna lemon hapo. No ginger, no lemon. Inaitwa KC lemon, ginger lemon. Watu wa Del Monte mpo. Hello, watu wa Del Monte. Weka miwili kwa hewa kama unajua story. The fear of germs. Most people in society. Hello, antivirus. Hata sijui hii video alifanya which year, but sahi allegedly. Si antivirus walitushtua nayo. Sahi antivirus nikelipotea tena. Stevie meisha. Shit! Copyright. Nimetuka tunacook. Mnaweza niona? Wewe tumerudi. Hebu niambie, one kwa chat kama mnaniona. One kwa chat kama mnanicheki. One kwa chat kama mnaniona. One kwa chat kama mnaniona. One kwa chat kama mnaniona. One kwa chat kama mnanicheki. Mnanicheki. Yes, unajua ni boss anasema not a human, ni kama good, very good, very nice, very good, very new. Low. Anyway. So that just happened. I wonder why. I wonder nini nifanywe nini katolewa. Sawa. Widow Florence ini gani? Haya, hii tu ni ya kuchangia. Haya. Now. Me, as I said before, and I will say it again and again, hii live stream ya leo.
My name's Florence.
Ninyi mna Iran. Mimi sirani live stream ya leo. Ninyi mna Iran. Sawa. So, mkwe ready. Nyinyi ndo mnacheza na hii live stream yenye mnadai. Inanifurahisha roho yangu yote. Watu wa nini watiaji. Watu wa copyright. Mambelei inakaa kitu ingine. But it's to be expected. Ajabu kurestart nini yangu ya hamwezi ona. Ndio imekuja. Very nice. Aya, hii tu ni ya kushikilia mkitafuta kitu. Tuna preach hadi tukaangushwa. Makosa usifanye saa hii mtu wangu ni kucook. Ati you do the mistake of cooking. Nalikupea ruhusa. Sawa. So this what hii tu ni ya kushikilia stream. Na ngoja mtu alete kitu ya kuona. Na isikuwe na hizo hata copyright tutajua jiko na copyright. Haya, so allegedly mama alikatazwa. Video ni 8 minutes. I'm not doing that. Yes, ifanyi. Because antu ni kitu rahisi kabaridi. Hata wako na million sub wanateta easy bots za YouTube. Wewe bro. Sasa nakwambia story hizi bots za YouTube ndo zimeniangusha hii mwezi. Ati azinipatii do. Ati I'm not who I say I am. I not who I say I am. Ati nijiprove, nijiverify. Umekuwa nikijiverify the whole month. Hizo vitu zinabo, sikudanganyi. Halafu unaambiwa ati sema hii. Unaenda unasema, I come through. Tuambie ati unataka sijui tu ngoja. In Book of Genesis. Okay. Nani ame request. Unajua mimi leo mafans wana run stream. The Book of Genesis. But it's Gnostic. Yes, jinge cheta maliza. Thumbnail yake inakaaje? Nimepata ndio hiyo. Ndio. Kwanza on your side mnaona? Sawa.
Hi.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought that the world is a pretty messed up place?
Uh-huh.
I mean, did you hear about the most recent insert political, economic, social, or environmental disaster here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, an early group of Christians had a story to tell of how it got that way.
Uh-huh.
But then the early church burned all of their stuff because they didn't like it, and their story was lost. Until a whole bunch of their stuff was found in a garbage dump.
What?
These group of Christians were anything but consistent, but with a little bit of speculation, we can finally tell their story. In the beginning, there was only God, the One, the Father, or the Monad. From this monad, several other entities called aeons emanated or flowed from the monad. From these various aeons, they emanated further aeons in pairs, with each generation of pairs getting progressively lesser in power. But this is what it would look like from the inside. From the outside perspective, all of these aeons would be one collective, which we call the pleroma. Everything beyond the pleroma is chaos, or the kenoma. But everything went wrong one day when one of the aeons, Sophia, or the wisdom, makes a mistake. For whatever reason, Sophia fails to successfully emanate her own child. Either she doesn't have a partner, or tries to have a child without her partner. Regardless of the reason, this attempted virgin birth ends with the monster, Yaldabaoth. Sophia tries to hide this creation by throwing it into the Cleroma. Yaldabaoth then finds itself alone in the chaotic nothingness, and seemingly all-powerful. Because of its nature being born from the Pleroma and out of spite, Yaldabaoth emanates its own children in an attempt to create its own Pleroma. But its creations are twisted and broken. The most important of its children being Sabaoth, and the various evil angels called the Archons. Unlike the Pleroma, which is infinite and perfect, this false Pleroma of Yaldabaoth was bound by his arbitrary rules. Yaldabaoth creates a shadowy veil, and from it explodes the concepts like matter, space, time, etc., creating the material universe. Content with its creation, Yaldabaoth declares itself to be the one and only God. Sophia hears this, and tells it that it's not the only God, and gives it the title of Samael, God of the blind, or Saklas, the fool. Yaldabaoth is angered by this and attacks the Pleroma. The Archons take some of the divine energy from the Pleroma. How they do so is inconsistent among the various Gnostic myths. With all this divine energy, Yaldabaoth and the Archons trap this energy in the false Pleroma of the material universe. Realizing that Yaldabaoth is a monster and must be stopped, Sophia repents for what she did and leaves the Pleroma to try and talk some sense into her creation. But Yaldabaoth has serious mom issues and traps Sophia, or parts of Sophia, or Sophia goes willingly, or Sophia tricks Yaldabaoth into breathing his divinity into the world. To be honest, the Gnostics never really agreed on this part of the story. But somehow, Sophia enters the physical world as well. Within the Pleroma, the Christ, another Aeon, decides to help Sophia, as well as many of Yaldabaoth's creations as possible, and sends a part of himself into the material universe. And thus begins the wacky adventures of Yaldabaoth trying to keep the divinity trapped in the material universe. Within the universe Yaldabaoth is created. He gawks at his newest creation, the primordial human, Adam Kadmon, who has a divine spark within it. This primordial human being, having a divine spark, wants to emanate its own creation, like Sophia and Yaldabaoth before it. But Yaldabaoth won't let it, and splits it into two parts, the male Adam and the female Eve. Rather than torture them, Yaldabaoth decides to give these two a prison so nice that they'll never want to leave. For as long as the two of them live in ignorance, the divine spark within them will never escape the material world. But there's just one problem. A tree sprouts from the ground, and in this tree, it contains the fruits of the knowledge of good and evil, which is planted by the pleroma. If Adam and Eve eat from this tree, they'll know that Yaldabaoth is evil. So Yaldabaoth tells them not to eat from this tree, or they'll die. At first, Adam and Eve listen to Yaldabaoth, but one day, the spirit of Sophia speaks to Eve through a snake in the garden, and tells her that Yaldabaoth is lying, and if she eats the fruit, she and Adam won't die, but will instead know that Yaldabaoth is evil. Eve eats the fruit, and then has Adam eat the fruit. And just as the snake told them, Adam and Eve don't die, but instead receive knowledge. The two of them now know that Yaldabaoth is evil, and that their garden is a prison, and that they're naked. The two hide, but Yaldabaoth comes looking for them. Because Yaldabaoth is not all-knowing and all-powerful, he calls out to Adam, asking where he is. Adam immediately confesses to eating the fruit and blames Eve, throwing her under the bus. Eve then tries to escape out of the material universe and back to the pleroma, but Yaldabaoth has his archons stop her. Eve is then raped by the archons.
Bomboklat! Nalituwapi mboro za kumnyandua? Hello.
For insolence. Yaldabaoth curses women for all time to be subservient to men and kicks the two of them out of the garden. It is then revealed that Eve was impregnated by one of the archons and gives birth to her son Cain. Later, she and Adam have a son named Abel. Knowing that if they defy Yaldabaoth, bad things will happen to them, the family of Adam decide to play along with Yaldabaoth's god complex and worship him. In order to try and appease Yaldabaoth, the family placates him by offering sacrifices. This pleases Yaldabaoth for now, and Cain and Abel are able to grow up into adulthood. Cain becomes a farmer of wheat, and Abel raises livestock. One day, when Cain and Abel present their offerings to Yaldabaoth, Yaldabaoth blesses Abel's sacrifice, but not Cain's. Cain is naturally upset by this, and Yaldabaoth explains that Cain offered plants to be burned as a sacrifice, whereas Abel offered a goat. To Yaldabaoth, wheat isn't a proper sacrifice because it doesn't suffer before dying. This gives Cain an idea, and he murders his brother. Yaldabaoth finds this event hilarious, and gives Cain a special mark that will curse anyone who tries to attack him. Adam and Eve are appalled by this, and kick Cain out of their family. So Adam and Eve try again to multiply, and have 2 children this time, a son named Seth and a daughter named Noriah. The Gnostics were horribly inconsistent about Noriah's character from this point on in the story. In most versions, she populates the earth with Seth, but in a lot of Gnostic texts it implies or outright states that she remains a virgin and goes off and does her own thing. Either way, at some point she learns that she is an aspect of Sophia and therefore greater than Yaldabaoth, and disappears from the story of Genesis until the flood. Regardless, the line of Seth populates the earth with humanity. And it's here where we have to speculate a lot, because a lot of Gnostic texts reference the events of the Book of Enoch and the sons of God from Genesis, but to our current understanding, there is no surviving direct Gnostic interpretations from the time of Enoch beyond the general events of the Watchers and the Flood. But that doesn't mean we can't connect the dots and try and make it work. Also, it's funnier that way. So the line of Seth have done a good job populating, and peace reigns on the planet. But Yaldabaoth isn't pleased by this and sends a group of his archons called the Watchers to Earth to cause mischief. While on Earth, the archons get really horny and decide to mate with human women. Yaldabaoth allows this because he finds it hilarious. And it worked so well with Cain the last time. The offspring of this union are the Nephilim, who are giants. At first, the Nephilim eat all of the livestock of humanity, and then they start eating people. Meanwhile, the Archons decide to spread chaos into human civilization, and teach humans concepts like magic, weapons, and greed. This basically leads into an all-out war, as humans begin killing each other en masse. Yaldabaoth gets a good chuckle at this. Meanwhile, 4 lesser aeons, or possibly archons who switch sides, the Gnostics were incredibly inconsistent with their angelology. Anyway, these 4 angels ask Christ if they can go help humanity. Christ gives these 4 angels a rescue mission. These 4 angels are Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and in the original Enoch, the 4th is Uriel, but in the Gnostic text, this role seems to go to an angel called Alelith. The 4 angels then go to Earth to kick butt. Raphael and Michael take on the Watchers, Gabriel fights the Nephilim, and Alelith stays on standby because Noriah is hiding somewhere, and he helps her later. As the Archons and the Nephilim are getting destroyed by the angels, Yaldabaoth rage quits and decides to destroy everyone in a great flood. But not wanting to give up on his playthings, Yaldabaoth finds one of the few people on Earth who hasn't been affected by this calamity, named Noah, and commands him to build an ark for him and his family, and to put 2 of each animal on the ark so that they can repopulate the Earth. As he's building the ark, Noah is approached by Noria, who has learned that Yaldabaoth plans to destroy.
Alipotea tu alafu all of a sudden amekuja. But saisi ni mzee sana kushinda Noah. Like, sindio? Usi alikuwa hata sijui ni generation ya ngapi udem. Usi ni mzee sana. Sijui mbona hapa hivi amepaintiwa ni kama Noah ni mzee kumshinda. Mama amemshinda na miaka mingi sana. Mingi.
Destroy everything in a flood and asks to board Noah's ark. Noah tells her no.
Yeah.
So Noria breathes fire and destroys the ark. This alerts Yaldabaoth to her presence, and he sends more of his Archons to try and stop her. The Archons threaten to do to her what they did to Eve, but Noria uses her fire breath to fight back. Noria is then joined by Alelith, and the 2 of them scare the Archons away. Then Alelith carries Noria out of the earth back to the Pleroma. While on the way, Alelith explains to Noria the entire cosmology of the universe, from the fall of Sophia to their predicament right now. The reason Noria is able to leave Earth with Alelith is because she has attained Gnosis, meaning that she can now ascend to the Pleroma. Once Alelith and Noria return to the Pleroma, Noria becomes one with it and reassumes her role as an aspect of Sophia. One of Yaldabaoth's Archons, Sabaoth, sees this and realizes that Yaldabaoth has been lying about being the only god this whole time, so he repents and apologizes. Noria/Sophia forgive him, and Sabaoth is given the throne of the 7th heaven to rule over. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Watchers are bound and thrown into a pit, and the Nephilim are dead. But because the Nephilim are half divine, their spirits still exist as demons who wander the Earth. Noah finishes rebuilding the Ark, and Yaldabaoth, in a seething rage, floods the Earth, killing everyone else. The Earth then floods for 40 days and 40 nights, and Noah and those aboard the Ark survive, ending up on top of a mountain. Yaldabaoth then basically calls for what I could best call a peace treaty between it and the Pleroma. Yaldabaoth won't flood the Earth again as long as the Pleroma doesn't invade again. With this promise or covenant, Yaldabaoth and the Pleroma are stuck at a standstill. Yaldabaoth still has billions of souls worth of divine essence trapped in ignorance. These souls need to have a mind to understand that they're trapped, meaning the souls must be in a human body before they can achieve Gnosis and escape like Noria did. But Yaldabaoth also needs these souls to have a body, so it has something to mess with. If the Pleroma simply sends an army to attack Yaldabaoth, well, then he'll kill everyone, leaving these souls trapped in the realm of matter, unable to escape. But Yaldabaoth won't have anything to mess with, so both sides will lose. With this plan of mutually assured destruction, Yaldabaoth simply waits as Noah and his family repopulate the Earth. So at this point, the descendants of Noah were completely loyal to Yaldabaoth and repopulate the Earth, living in total servitude to him. No, just kidding. They immediately try to build a tower to try and kill him. Yaldabaoth gets mad at this and curses them, confusing their language, and then destroys their tower, scattering them to the world. From here, the people split into various nations. But Yaldabaoth gets bored simply watching and decides to once again mess with humanity. So Yaldabaoth goes to a guy named Abram, later renamed to Abraham, and tells him to go to Canaan because Abraham is going to be the progenitor of Yaldabaoth's chosen people. But various shenanigans take place with Abraham's slave and her pregnancy, and Abraham's family drama is boring. So Yaldabaoth decides to let out some of his bloodlust while waiting for that drama to subside. And what better target for his wrath than the city of Sodom? The problem is that Abraham's nephew, Lot, lives in Sodom. So Abraham pleads with Yaldabaoth to spare the city. Abraham proposes that if there are 50 good people in the city, that it should be spared. Yaldabaoth agrees to this proposal, and then Abraham proceeds to haggle with Yaldabaoth the number down from 50 to 10. Yaldabaoth sends 2 of his Archons to go get Lot and judge the city. While there, a gang of thugs try to rape the Archons, and the Archons blind them.
Like 3 scenarios on a bakwa. Rada.
Yaldabaoth then destroys the city. He also kills Lot's wife by turning into her pillar of salt for disobeying him. After Abraham's family drama was over, he and his wife have a son named Isaac. Isaac becomes Abraham's greatest joy in life, so much so that Yaldabaoth gets jealous and tells Abraham to sacrifice his son as a test of loyalty. Abraham has no choice and agrees. He takes his son to the top of a mountain, and just as he's about to stab his son to death, an Archon appears before him, telling him that he's passed Yaldabaoth's test. For doing this, Yaldabaoth gives Abraham a blessing, promising that one day his descendants will rule the world. Isaac grows up and has 2 sons of his own, Jacob and Esau. Isaac decides to transfer the blessing of Yaldabaoth to Esau, but is tricked by Jacob into giving it to him.
Na hizi vitu zote, isi ni Bible. Like the reason to relate na kitu ni Bible. Nimejaribu, hata mimi nimejaribu. Sawa, mseme sijachezea mafans kutoka hata kuwatch. Haya, nani mwingine kuna kitu? Theories ni mob huku, walai sana. Kwani udema shapandishwa hadi stage? Ana influence aje? Anyway, there's this thing I'm looking for. NTSA. Na tusona live stream squeeze. I show speed effect. Yenyewe. So, but nani, Vince anasema hiyo Bible tunasoma iko na vitu hatujui, but in reality ukiangalia it's almost as if it's opposite. Si ndio? Ni kama imegeuzwa, ni kama the so called tunaita God ndio devil na devil ndio God according to hii theory tumeona sahi. Ni kama hivyo ndio kunaenda. It's okay man. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for a good suggestion. The strangest secret to success. Kwani sawa, I got you. Kupea tu sasa hivi. Sasa hivi. Hebu chill kwanza niangalie kitu kiasi. Unichelia Vera Sidika. Brooklyn Boys. Ona, nyinyi mko hapa hivi live stream mnajipanga ku live ku succeed, ona sasa mbogi yetu. Oneni sasa. The majority mali wako. Mimi naambia shukuruni manze. Shukuru man. Aya. Cha tuchezeo video ya kichwa 254. Ina hata mimi nataka kusikia. Inaitwa The strangest secret. Nataka kusikia. Sangapi saa 5? Nitoe kitu kwa The strangest secret. Aya, tukule hapa. Ni ya kwanza ama? Niko na 1.7, 1.9. Wow. Okay.
I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Not long ago, Albert Schweitzer, the great doctor and Nobel Prize winner, was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" The great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." And it's about this that I want to talk with you. We live today in a golden age. This is an era that...
See ya. Ni hapa. Me party in a all back.
I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Some years ago, the late Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Albert Schweitzer was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" And the great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." It's about this that I want to talk with you. We live today in a golden age. This is an era that man has looked forward to, dreamed of, and worked toward for thousands of years. But since it's here, we pretty well take it for granted. We in America are particularly fortunate to live in the richest land that ever existed on the face of the earth, a land of abundant opportunity for everyone. But do you know what happens? Well, let's take 100 men who start even at the age of 25. Do you have any idea what will happen to those men by the time they're 65? These 100 men who all start even at the age of 25 believe they're going to be successful. If you ask any one of these men if he wanted to be a success, he'd tell you he did. And you'd notice that he was eager toward life, that there was a certain sparkle to his eye, an erectness to his carriage, and life seemed like a pretty interesting adventure to him. But by the time they're 65, one will be rich. 4 will be financially independent. 5 will still be working. 54 will be broke. Now think a moment. Out of the one...
Hapo kwa broke ndio nini niko sasa. Hapo kwa broke. Oi Mungu. Hata sijui kama niko broke kama niko poor. I think tunatumia hiyo pia ni another inaitwaje language. I think hapo another language ya kusoften language ni hatuiti watu maskini tunawaita broke. We stopped calling people poor. These days tunawaita broke. I'm very poor.
100, only 5 make the grade. Now why do so many fail? What has happened to the sparkle that was there when they were 25? Yeah. What's become of the dreams, the hopes, the plans? And why is there such a large disparity between what these men intended to do and what they actually accomplished?
Yeah.
When we say about 5% achieve success, we have to define success. And here's the best definition I've ever been able to find. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success.
Yeah.
If he's not doing that, he's a failure.
Yep.
Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity. People acting like everyone else without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 18 million people 65 years of age and older. And most of them are broke.
I gotta do this. Forgive me, guys. But let me show you something. Let me show you people who have accepted to come. Msikasirikie. Njua matako. Msikasirikie. Msine nikana judge. I'm just saying. Majority of watu wako kwa hapa hivi. Kuna wale amua kuconform. Unacheki? Majority watu wako hapa hivi. Wangalao wameamua kuconform. Which is really sad, man. Very sad. But I understand. Unless uko kwa hiyo position, hautajua. Nata kusema hivi. Already umeona nimeapologize mara ngapi. Cause I am afraid people will say, Big Bad una judge. Wata ujui mashida watu wanapitia. Watu wajibambe. Mimi sijakata mtu wajibambe. But nataka ujibambe ukielewa ni nini unadu. Not that hawaelewi kinyo wanadu. But kuna most hapa hivi. Hawaelewi kitu wanadu. Wameenda tu kuji-relieve. Ama kuji-release. Una get. Get back to the video. Chendele kujibamba. Situkomboka.
They're dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Now, we learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by the time we're 25. Usually by that time, we're not only making a living, we're supporting a family. And yet, by the time we're 65, we haven't learned how to become financially independent in the richest land that has ever been known.
Yeah.
Why? We conform. Yeah. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95 who don't succeed.
Yeah.
Now, why do these people conform?
Yeah.
Well, they really don't know. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of men, working men, and these men were asked, why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning?
Yeah.
19 out of 20 had no idea. If you ask them, they'll say, well, everyone goes to work in the morning, and that's the reason they do it, because everyone else is doing it. Now, let's get back to our definition of success. Who succeeds? The only person who succeeds is the person who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal.
Yep. Yesterday, as I was finishing my live stream, I told you, Koyo Rant, I told you I thought the goal was to get to 100,000. I really thought in my heart of heart that the goal ilikuwa kufika 100,000. Sisi wadanganya. Until I realized I might reach 100,000. And from that, nikwe empty. So the goal ilikuja kuwa nini ni kutransform life za wase. To really touch people's lives. As much as kuna watu wanaweza criticize waseme hiyo si kazi yako, I think to me that's a good cause kwa hii life. Hii ndio nilikuja nikarealize mimi mwenyewe niko za yenyewe kubadilisha tu life ya wase. Alafu amwezi jua story, but mimi na kichwa 254. kuna siku nilimtext nikamwambia venye situation ni mbaya na akanishow bro, as much as tunaongelea stories za madem sana, tafuta tu section moja. Nimehang sijui kama mnajua. Tenje imezima easy, acha nifix hiyo tenje. Sawa. Anyway. Nimerudi tena. Akaniambia tafuta tu section unaongelesha maboys. Cause mimi nitaambia ukweli, we are the future. Hii world inatutegemea, tupende tusipende. We are the builders. Yes, mademo wanaenda kole. Yes, mademo wanaenda university. But hizi course wanafanya si course za kupeleka society mbele. Si sort. Omera. Karibu Otieno atokee. Otieno kidogo amechungulia. Anyway, hiyo. Cause and tumeona kwele ile nini ya kwanza, they are attacking the men intentionally. Wanaume tunafaa kwa tukibuild, atujui purpose yetu ni gani. Man, back to it, my guys.
Is the person who says, I'm going to become this, and then begins to work toward that goal. I'll tell you who the successful people are. A success is the school teacher who's teaching school because that's what he or she wants to do. The success is the woman who's a wife and mother because she wanted to become a wife and mother and is doing a good job of it. The success is the man who runs the corner gas station because that was his dream. That's what he wanted to do. The success is the successful salesman who wants to become a top-notch salesman and grow and build with his organization. A success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job because that's what he decided to do.
Thank you.
Deliberately.
Thank you. Because that's what he did. He decided. Because that's what he decided to do deliberately. Yeah, bro. Shida ni Shida ni we've been painted. Ngoja. Man, that kitu imenifungua macho ujui tu. Bro, kitu imenifungua macho wezi realize walai. Man. Tunaoneshwanga tu kuwa na pesa. Pesa is success. Niliwaambia kwa video fulani, kuna madem who believe vacation is success, designer bags ni success, designer clothes ni success. Wanaume tunaamini kuwa na meno zote za silver ni success, kuwa na kagari ni success, kuwa sijui na viatu designer poa ni success bro. We get it no matter what. Ukiona msee anafanya plumbing, yes aingizi do, lakini amekorogwa akili to the point anaona ni kama yeye ni failure. Kumbe ajui angekuwa tu yeye mwenyewe anataka kufanya plumbing. Akobie. Man. Kuna siku IQ alipeana story fulani hapo hivyo akasema kuna msee ako pande za Lavi. Hapo hivyo Lavi. Msee anauza madogi. Nako contented like to him kuuza dogi ndio purpose yake. Kuuza dogi. Na anauza na roho yake moja. Kuna watu wameamua na utakuza miti. Hizi miti maua za kudecorate keja. Na anaifanya na roho moja kuzio ndio purpose yake. But mi na wewe tutaangalia kitu kile tuseme bude ni kunestia do. Cause hatujui purpose yetu yenyewe. Sisi tumeamua kenye wewe umeamua kufanya bro. Kumbe ndio siri. Si kenye unajilazimisha kufanya ndio upate ganje. Ni kenye wewe mwenye umeamua deliberately nataka kufanya hii. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. God damn. By the way, my success is not measured with money. Because watu wangapi unajua kuna do. Steve Jobs alikuwa one of the richest people before Daddy. Pancreas ilikataa kufanya kazi. Pancreas yake ilingoa. Uni mtu angeamua angesema ni toleni pancreas huko hivyo Philippines. Tafuteni ka kijana blood group yangu na zina match, nileteni hiyo pancreas yake. Pancreas ilingoa. By the way, I just realized something, bro. Acha speech endelee. Nimerealize kitu, nitakukutua hapa hivi sahi.
but only 1 out of 20 does that. That's why today there isn't really any competition unless we make it for ourselves. Instead of competing, all we have to do is create. You know, for 20 years, I looked for the key which would determine what would happen to a human being. Was there a key I wanted to know which would make the future a promise that we could foretell to a large extent? Was there a key that would guarantee a person's becoming successful if he only knew about it and knew how to use it? Well, there is such a key, and I've found it. Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They seem to have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail?
Yes.
Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have goals, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it'll take. It has a definite goal. Now, 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and no guidance, and it's the same with a human being. Now let's get back to the strangest secret in the world, the story that I wanted to tell you today. Why do men with goals succeed in life and men without them fail? Well, let me tell you something which, if you really understand it, will alter your life immediately. If you understand completely what I'm going to tell you from this moment on, your life will never be the same again. You will suddenly find that good luck just seems to be attracted to you. The things you want just seem to fall in line, and from now on you won't have the problems, the worries, the gnawing lump of anxiety that perhaps you've experienced before. Doubt, fear, well, they'll be things of the past. Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about. Throughout all history, the great wise men and teachers, philosophers and prophets have disagreed with one another on many different things. It's only on this one point that they are in complete and unanimous agreement. Listen to what Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, said. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Disraeli said this: everything comes if a man will only wait. I've brought myself by long meditation to the conviction that a human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and that nothing can resist a will that will stake even existence for its fulfillment. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this: a man is what he thinks about all day long. William James said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. And he also said, we need only in cold blood act as if the thing in question were real, and it will become infallibly real by growing into such a connection with our life that it will become real. It will become so knit with habit and emotion that our interest in it will be those which characterize belief. And he also said, if you only care enough for a result, you will almost certainly attain it. If you wish to be rich, you will be rich. If you wish to be learned, you will be learned. If you wish to be good, you will be good. Only you must then really wish these things and wish them exclusively, and not wish at the same time 100 other incompatible things just as strongly. In the Bible, you read in Mark 9:23, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth.
Hey, nigga. Hey. Hey. Wow. Ujui tu. Hey.
My old friend Dr. Norman Vincent Peale put it this way: this is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery outside of my relationship to God. The great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact, he went on to say, which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success.
Like yesterday when I was going through my bullshit, wala wasa kiniambia sijui maji imekatwa na mimi nafaa kulipa 1600. I was very negative. Very. Guy, Mungu wangu lilikuwa negative sana. But I came to that live stream and I forgot. Like I came to that live stream very angry. Hata before your live stream nilikuwa najibu watu tu takataka. Unaniambia nini maumbo? Nilikuwa nakwambia nitokeo live stream. Katika live stream tu nikarealize yenyewe easy thoughts sitaki ziache zini control na kila kitu inaingia na po. Imagine maji jarudi but vitu zinaingiana tu fiti mtu wangu, unapata. Yeah, where attention goes your energy. Yeah, where attention is your energy goes. Guide your mind with all your guide your thoughts and protect your minds. See, cook.
In 3 words, believe and succeed. William Shakespeare put it this way: our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. George Bernard Shaw said, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them. Well, it's pretty apparent, isn't it? And every person who discovered this for a while believed that he was the first one to work it out. We become what we think about. Now, it stands to reason that a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about, and we become what we think about.
Yeah.
Conversely, the man who has no goal, who doesn't know where he's going, and whose thoughts must therefore be thoughts of confusion and anxiety and fear and worry, becomes what he thinks about. His life becomes one of frustration and fear and anxiety and worry. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. Now, how does it work? Why do we become what we think about? Well, I'll tell you how it works as far as we know. Now, to do this, I want to tell you about a situation that parallels the human mind. Suppose a farmer has some land, and it's good fertile land. Now, the land gives the farmer a choice. He may plant in that land whatever he chooses. The land doesn't care. It's up to the farmer to make the decision. Now remember, we're comparing the human mind with the land because the mind, like the land, doesn't care what you plant in it. It will return what you plant, but it doesn't care what you plant. Now let's say that the farmer has 2 seeds in his hand. One is a seed of corn, the other is nightshade, a deadly poison. He digs 2 little holes in the earth and he plants both seeds, one corn, the other nightshade. He covers up the holes, waters, and takes care of the land, and what will happen? Invariably, the land will return what's planted. As it's written in the Bible, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Now remember, the land doesn't care. It'll return poison in just as wonderful abundance as it will corn. So up come the 2 plants, one corn, one poison. Now, the human mind is far more fertile, far more incredible and mysterious than the land, but it works the same way. It doesn't care what we plant. Success, failure. A concrete, worthwhile goal, or confusion. Misunderstanding, fear, anxiety, and so on. But what we plant, it must return to us. You see, the human mind is the last great unexplored continent on Earth. It contains riches beyond our wildest dreams. It will return anything we want to plant. Now, you might say, well, if that's true, why don't people use their minds more? Well, I think they figured out an answer to that one, too. Our mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free, and things that are given to us for nothing we place little value on. Things that we pay money for, we value. The paradox is that exactly the reverse is true. Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of family and children and friends and country, all these priceless possessions are free. But the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time. A good man can be completely wiped out and make another fortune. He can do that several times. Even if our home burns down, we can rebuild it. But the things we got for nothing, we can never replace. The human mind isn't used because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big, important ones. Universities have proved that most of us are operating on about 10% or less of our abilities.
Manze, imagine 10% or less. Neshi anasema pana, hii video ilianza vizuri, sasa imekuwa jam.
So decide now. What is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you ever make in your entire life. What is it you want? Do you want to be an outstanding salesman? A better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company? In your community? Do you want to get rich? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind, care for it, work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality. It not only will, there's no way that it cannot. You see, that's a law, like the laws of Sir Isaac Newton, the laws of gravity. If you get on top of a building and jump off, you'll always go down. You'll never go up. And it's the same with all the other laws of nature. They always work. They're inflexible. Think about your goal in a relaxed, positive way.
Yep.
Picture yourself in your mind's eye as having already achieved this goal. See yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've reached your goal.
Hiyo napati inakuanga inanilemeanga sana. Hiyo see yourself najaribingi. Afu sasa mimi nakuwa kaa naishi naanza kujembea hii ni jaba. Kumbe ona makosa. Kumbe programming ilikuwa hivyo. Inataka kunidictate ikuwe negative. Huwezi jiona kona succeed utasucceed aje.
Ours has been called the phenobarbital age, the age of ulcers and nervous breakdowns and tranquilizers, at a time when medical research has raised us to an...
Isn't it weird that hii kitu tunaona hapa is so relatable? Maandamano zimekuwa juzi, suicide, watu wanacommit suicide, mademo wanajisexualize, wanaume wanakula vibaya, wana venye kuwa unhealthy, usijui hata ni wako addicted to drugs na mapono, wako addicted to simu yake, ona macloud chase, wana chase cloud, like this is so relatable. But ingine unachiketa already nishasema ati ni ngumu sana kufikiria hii, but it's very easy to relate with this. I wonder why.
New plateau of good health and longevity. Far too many of us worry ourselves into an early grave trying to cope with things in our own little personal ways without learning a few great laws that will take care of everything for us. These things we bring on ourselves through our habitual way of thinking. Every one of us is the sum total of his own thoughts. He is where he is because that's exactly where he really wants to be, whether he'll admit that or not. Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind. I remember one time I was driving through eastern Arizona and I saw one of those giant earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles an hour with what looked like 30 tons of dirt in it. A tremendous, incredible machine. And there was a little man perched way up on top with the wheel in his hands guiding it. And as I drove along, I was struck by the similarity of that machine to the human mind. Just suppose you're sitting at the controls of such a vast source of energy. Are you going to sit back and fold your arms and let it run itself into a ditch?
No.
Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and control and direct this power to a specific, worthwhile purpose? It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. You see, the very law that gives us success is a two-edged sword. We must control our thinking. The same rule that can lead a man to a life of success, wealth, happiness, and all the things he ever dreamed of for himself and his family. That very same law can lead him into the gutter. It's all in how he uses it, for good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world.
Kuna mtu amesema point poa sana. Kalinda sema stay guided by your mind. I think that's the best way. Nimeona mtu amesema ametumia kitu ya stay guided. Stay guided. Umesema poa. Napenda hiyo video. Never give up on my trip just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass away. But kitu nimeteka away vitu mingi sana. But hiyo yenye mimi imestand out na mimi ni wewe ukiamua kufanya kitu kenye wewe unataka kufanya. Hiyo ni success. Kenye wewe unataka kufanya, si kenye watu wanakulazimisha ufanye ama kenye society allegedly inataka wewe ufanye. That is so nice. Video moja mwisho ama nimalizie live stream, unataka kuenda? I like that. I like that. I like that. Hey, this what I don't. Wewe ulikuwa umeenda kuona matako Rix. Ulikuwa umeenda kuona kwela, wewe nakujua. Nice. That was a good video. I understand very clear. Tuongee kweli, watu wengi have watu wengi have goal now. Amejipanga na bado wana fall. I'm saying don't be naive. Let's be realistic here. True. But in this world, you gotta be delusional to make it. reality itakukumbusha venye vitu ni ngumu, but kidogo utakuwa tu delusional, ujichoche. Unaweza fanya hizi vitu ndio utafanya. Sikatai. Time is your greatest asset. As long as there is time, you'll always get there. Facts. Hiyo ni daily speech. Sasa ushani put on. Takuwa nicheza daily. Internet imeaffect wase huku. True. Just wadanganye mtu wangu. Si kwa live stream for like 10 days. Bro, nilikuwa nalala poa. Nilikuwa na dose poa. Mimi nakwambia nilikuwa nafika saa 5, saa 6, saa 5 sana. Nimeanza kulala. Mse, nakwambia nilikuja nikaeka mneti. Unajikuta saa 7:30 uko macho. Na hakuna kitu unaangalia kwa internet. Hakuna. Ukaniuliza sijui for the last 2 hours nimekuwa nikiwatch, siwezi kumbuka hata kidogo bro. Sikudanganyi. Hata. So yenyewe internet naye ni kudistract wase sana. Sana. Any distraction nyingine bakala sana. It's easy to think negatively. The mind plays tricks that's why we need to learn to control our thoughts. Yep. Intentionally controlling our thoughts. Our brain loves negativity, so unafaa kuwa ukijicounter your negative thoughts. Yeah. Muna cook Buddha. Inakaa Monday na ni Friday. Video moja ya mwisho nena kuna video ama niwachezee video yangu sasa. Sikuwa nataka. Lakini imenilazimisha. Bumble. Sitaki kuwachezea hiyo. Sitaki. Itakuwa ni kama night and day. Ama not everyone will make it in any field of life. There's always people who try and fail. Success always comes with a little bit of luck. That's why the people who are successful are considered the 1%. Yeah, man. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Ingekuwa ku live stream ni rahisi, kila mtu angekuwa anaifanya. Unacheki. But me usema since internet it's our future, mbona tusitumie bro, kwa sababu distractions kwa internet ni mingi kushinda. Okay, inategemea tu na mindset yako. Acha tu nikwambie ukweli. Kuna saa mtu mwingine ukimpea mneti hivi atakaa aone ngwati for 3-4 hours. Ngwati tu. Atakaa naone hiyo ngwati kushinda kitu kingine. Kuna mwenye atakaa hivi kwa internet na atumie kusikiza tu ngoma tu. Kuna yule atakaa one bake, kuna yule atakaa one ngoma, kuna yule atakaa one movie series. Una get? Cause iko na kuna ule atakaa chini hivi na pige nao shughuli. Nika atakaa hivi apige mastori za AI nini. Ni hivyo tu. Ati Arsenal for life. Jibambeni ni Arsenal yenyu. Ya matakataka. Ulikuwa pijana nikichongoa tu Arsenal. Unagun. Ati wewe uji. Hey. Kugun for 4 hours, it's very easy. Very, very, very easy. Hii mneti inakuanga na distraction nyingine mbaya sana. But kuna kitu inaitwa contentment. That's the thing. That's what I got from the video. Inaangalia story ya contentment. Because if you're contented, like wewe unasema mimi, my goal and my dream is to become a teacher, nataka kufunza watu, which is ni kama ndio nini yangu pia. Nataka kusaidia watu wenye kuna shida ya kunyonga, watu pengine hawaelewi hizi stories za madem in general in life, na nitakuja hapa kufunza kila siku. I should be contented hata nikikuwa na viewers wawili. I should be like nafanya bado kazi yangu. Unanipata? But mtu anataka kufanya hiki tu for money, atakuwa anakuja hapa hivi ono, viewership inaenda kidogo, viewership inapungua. Mistaki. Nikastapata. Mtapata. Una get? Kuna mtu anataka kuifanya cause anaifanya for story ya do. Yeye anataka tu do. Aliingia kwa kitu juu ya do, si dream yake, si passion yake. Hana hiyo drive ya kufanya something bigger than the money. Hata last. But hiyo point ya contentment, itachukua watu wengi sana time kuadmit. Kuna mse alidai from Goonies 2 times a day na akadai nyewe unaweza dedi. Sina kuambia hiyo dopamine overload ni serious sana. Ni serious. Sipendi kusema ni serious cause ina sounding ni kaule mkisi fulani kerere. Okay, I remember ulikuwa chimpanzee na NIS na lilikuwa simp. Kwanza kuna udem nilijua tu jina yake itapotea nikianza kuongea hiyo story. alikuwa Mwarabu. Mbona jina yake imepotea? Oh my god, ilikuwa napenda msichana. How she had these big eyes, light skin, soft hair, perfect lips. Ilikuwa nataka ude mbaya. This is one of the things they're poor, you can win. Haya, this is the last video. The richest man in Babylon. Haya. Ngoja. The richest man in Babylon. A short film to get how to get rich. A short film on how to get rich. Najua muoni kitu naona. Acha niweke kitu naona. Kuna kitu kingine hapa hivi pia nimeona. I wanna play it. There's something you have seen which I wanna play it to you guys right now. But before that, the richest man in Babylon. Acha nitume ile pande ingine. The richest man in Babylon. Lakini ile stream yangu inanifurahishaga. Yaani tunakuaga two was it two needs of the spectrum. There's this word I'm forgetting. Yaani huku inakuaga two needs of the spectrum. Kuna believers, kuna non-believers. Ndio hapa, hii ndio video amenitumia. But before we watch this, let me first watch this one. Because na feel tu nikaa nataka kukatsika. Acha nikatsike inaondokee kwa system. Initokee tu kwa system. Wewe tulia. Kenyans left stand after transport ndio hapa.
Has made it clear that the government will not revise the fuel prices any further, arguing that such a move would adversely impact revenue collection, widen the fiscal deficit, and ultimately undermine service delivery. Speaking in Mombasa after a meeting with transport sector leaders, the president also dismissed calls for the repeal of taxes and levies imposed on petroleum products as a relief measure for Kenyans grappling with soaring fuel prices. And despite their demands not being met, transport sector leaders have now entirely called off the strike and apologized to the head of state for paralyzing transport operations earlier this week. So is this the ultimate betrayal of Kenyans, or is it simply the hope that kills? And TV's Julius Juma starts us off tonight.
Monday this week.
Mind you, I think it's 3. It's really kubo. I think it's 3. Okay, it's between wale waliripotiwa wamekufa na historia ya transport ilikuwa between 7 to 8. Wale waliripotiwa. Kuna wale zile area za Ukikuyuni huko namba ni haya. Ile area za Moranga huko mabunduki zilikuwa zinapigwa hadi saa 2 usiku.
After Kenyans took to the streets in response to record high fuel prices, the government and transport sector leaders convened a high-stakes meeting in a bid to break the impasse. And after the closed-door talks, where cameras captured digital strategist Dennis Itumbi taking the lead, Energy CS Opiyo Wandayi and his transport counterpart Davis Chirchir stepped forward to brief the nation, flanked by transport sector leaders who had attended the heated discussions. But even as the government projected optimism, it became increasingly clear that the die had already been cast. Then came a moment that briefly reignited public hope.
You did state that we may have tomorrow, Tuesday.
When Kennedy Kaunda, chairman of the East Africa Tour Guides and Drivers Association, made way to the fore, and openly contradicted CS Wandai's account of events, Kenyans saw what appeared to be a firm resistance from the transport sector leaders.
We abide by the law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The strike is still on.
At that point, it appeared the strike was still firmly on course, with pressure mounting on the government to further lower fuel prices and cushion Kenyans from the escalating cost of living. Their demands were straightforward. EPRA had reduced diesel prices by at least 30 shillings, not the 10 shilling relief proposed by the state.
They gave us that 10 according to what they are going to have a conversation with EPRA. And we did state 35 up to 30.
Kenyans went to bed believing their defenders were holding the line and unwilling to compromise. But by Tuesday morning, the tide had dramatically shifted. The once hardline Kaunda and his colleagues suddenly appeared comfortable alongside government representatives. And for many Kenyans, it became painfully clear that the battle had already been lost.
The strike has been suspended. That is what I want our Kenyan citizens to hear.
And true to those fears, the strike was suspended without any of the key demands being met.
Mine is to urge all our membership, our drivers, our conductors, to resume operations effective immediately.
Then on Thursday, following President William Ruto's return to the country, transport sector leaders met him at State House Mombasa, with Kenyans still hoping their grievances will finally be addressed. But on Friday morning, President Ruto categorically ruled out any further reduction in fuel prices. According to the head of state, lowering fuel prices further will hurt government revenues, widen the fiscal deficit, and compromise service delivery. Instead, he directed EPRA to effect a 10 shilling reduction in next month's fuel review, which now raises the bigger question: what really determines fuel prices in Kenya? Is it global market forces, government policy decisions, or a combination of both?
I wish there was someone who understood business. Hiyo swali ameuliza, I would really wish kungekuwa na mtu anaweza nijibu. Sasa sijui tutadiscuss kesho, but tutaiweka kwa back burner. Sawa, we'll keep that in the back burner. We shall discuss that tomorrow. Aya, let's learn how to make money. While the rest wana complain juu ya mafuta, just to sharpen our tool.
Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Enrique Caradroma. I am an economist graduated in the University of Lesoban.
Nimeona kitu hapa, Rix. Sometimes I goon also for healthy purposes, lakini bila commercial breaks. Hata he makes
in Paris, and in this video we're going to travel back 3,700 years ago to hear and to learn from the richest man in Babylon. Once said that, let's go to
Kiambu watu alidai huyu jamaa zile bodies ziko na huko mimi nakwambia hizo area za Wakikuyu, area walimadwa kumadwa. Mimi best yangu ananipigia akiwa Moranga, niambia amelaza kila msee kwa keja chini, watu wanalala kwa floor, aliyekamati chini juu ajui ka bullet inaweza piga kwa dirisha, na bunde zilikuwa zinalia bado. Watu walimaliza huko wengi sana. Many zimiwa subscription for the next days, then aka inua price after over 200,000. Kwa nini yani crypto pump but I think acha tu niwaambie kweli, mimi nitawaambia kweli, watu wameleta shida yote ni ile reli inaenda east. Ile reli inaenda east ndio ileta shida yote. Juu alianza vita na Iran ukiangalia poa inaitwa Strait of Hormuz. Pale hivyo ndo the world mafuta inapita. Pale mafuta ya dunia mzima inapitaga pale hivyo Strait of Hormuz. Sasa kidogo Trump anatishia sasa, anamwambia jaribu uone tutaaffect kitu. Trump na yeye anapigania ile reli inaenda east. Unaona ujinga tumekuja tukaface juu ujinga wake. Rick ananifurahisha.
Welcome to Babylon. My name is Arkad, and today you will see that achieving abundance does not require a high initial salary or a family inheritance. I was born with very little, and for many years I lived hand to mouth, earning only a few coins by copying clay tablets for a noble. Each night I went to sleep wondering.
Ngoja, kichwa 254 ananiambia quality only 20% of global oil pass there. So inamaanisha hiyo vita iko affect kitu yote.
The same thing.
Kuna mtu anatumiwa V1 na Kate Dhuku. Buda, kulikuwa na simu mbili. Watch boy moja ingine record, tutumie, tusukumie jo. Hizi fantasy tunakuanga nazo zitulie kwa kichwa. Unagunaje solo?
I work as hard as anyone else. Why can't I get ahead financially? Back in those days, Babylon was a bustling center of commerce and opportunity. I watched with admiration as certain merchants and artisans seemed to generate wealth effortlessly. What was their secret? I asked myself. Were they born with a special talent? Did they have a divine gift? The truth was much simpler. They followed unbreakable principles regarding money. And once I decided to learn from them, these principles changed my life, allowing me to become the richest man in Babylon. Today I want to share them with you so you too can break free from poverty and forge your own prosperity. Let's start at the beginning. I remember I was very young when one of my mentors told me, "Arcut, from every 10 coins that enter your purse, take one and save it for yourself before paying any debt or bill." At first, I was doubtful. How could I save even 1 coin if I barely had enough to live on? But when I tried it, I was amazed. Separating that 10% didn't leave me destitute. Instead, it forced me to be more efficient with the remaining 9/10. Over time, that one...
I'm sorry. Gayo, nisameheni. Comment section imewaka moto. Na mimi niko hapa najifanya kusikiza hii video, but the whole time nasikiza tu kitu. Aya, pole. Nda rewind tu kiasi for the culture. Anyway, so kicho tufefana ambia the blockade kinda is there to force countries that hold US department to buy oil from the US only. And ukiangalia poa ile ready inaenda east already unakwanga tied na US. So nataka indirectly watu wako wananunua mafuta kutokea reli ya kwenda east. Unapata. Hey.
Welcome to Babylon. My name is Arcut. And today you will see that achieving abundance does not require a high initial salary or a family inheritance. I was born with very little, and for many years I lived hand to mouth, earning only a few coins by copying clay tablets for a noble. Each night I went to sleep wondering the same thing.
What? Maka nasema, mahali sisi wa Kenya tunablanda ni eti tunabuy hizo different types of mafuta separately instead of to buy crude oil to refine for ourselves. Ile refinery tulikuwa nayo walifunga. Of course walifunga. Kenya kuna industry yote inakuaga inachukuliwa serious. There's nothing hii Kenya wanachukulenga serious. Wanafungaga everything. By the way, so obviously ukinunua kwa ubaya atakupandishia bei venye anataka. So I think Mjango alipiga press conference akielezea hiyo story ya mafuta. Ati wakisema Uganda mafuta ni cheap but inapita Kenya, na mbona tusinunue kwa mali Uganda na buy. Anyway, poleni. Tutengenezeni do.
If I work as hard as anyone else, why can't I get ahead financially? Back in those days, Babylon was a bustling center of commerce and opportunity. I watched with admiration as certain merchants and artisans seemed to generate wealth effortlessly. What was their secret? I asked myself. Were they born with a special talent? Did they have a divine gift? The truth was much simpler. They followed unbreakable principles regarding money.
Vinci amesema point poa sana. The only flourishing industry Kenya, the most outstanding industry Kenya is the corruption industry. Hiyo industry inapiga numbers all year long. All year round. Industry ya corruption haishindwagi. Wanakuanga top 10, top 100 performing, mazi. And that's on God.
And once I decided to learn from them, these principles changed my life, allowing me to become the richest man in Babylon. Today I want to share them with you so you too can break free from poverty and forge your own prosperity. Let's start at the beginning. I remember I was very young when one of my mentors told me, "Arcut, from every 10 coins that enter your purse, take one and save it for yourself before paying any debt or bill." At first, I was doubtful. How could I save even 1 coin if I barely had enough to live on? But when I tried it, I was amazed. Separating that 10% didn't leave me destitute. Instead, it forced me to be more efficient with the remaining 9/10. Over time, that one saved coins started to accumulate and formed my very first little capital. This capital became the foundation of my investments. So, my first piece of advice is clear. Pay yourself first. Later, as I began to accumulate a bit more wealth, I surrounded myself with people who were neither rich nor poor. They were stuck in the middle because they allowed debts to devour their income. In Babylon, many would borrow money just to show off luxurious chariots, expensive clothing, or grand feasts. Eventually, they became slaves to their own debts. I recall observing a neighbor who would buy extravagant spices and silks, believing they were essential to show his status in the marketplace, yet he constantly complained about debts.
Hiyo part ni very important. Hiyo part ya neighbor wake alikuwa na buy expensive silk na hizo dresses because anataka kujionyesha kona pesa. But yeye mwenyewe ana complain juu ya deni. Na Mark ameniambia unajua ukienda South Africa, German cars like Benz and Audi are cheap. Juu wako na assembly factories zao huko. Kenya hatuna any manufacturing or assembly factories. I thought the other day we had this like sijui kama umeona hizi gari like hizi electric cars. So I think we had an like assembly nini ama walitoa. Ilikuwa assembly factory ile ilikuwa na assembly hizi gari. Because hizi mabasi zinakuanga tao electric buses. Naonanga most of them made in Kenya. Spyro, hizo ndo the Spyro. Sisi tuna make.
By simplifying his lifestyle, wearing simpler clothes and hosting smaller gatherings, he discovered how much money he could actually save. Thus, my second piece of advice today is control your expenses and avoid unnecessary luxuries. For a man who spent most of his life earning a modest salary, the moment I discovered that my coins could work while I rested was life-changing. I often use the example of a farmer named Nomasir, who later became a friend. He had small plots of land that he worked tirelessly. One day, he decided to invest his modest savings into an additional piece of farmland, and he employed a young family to help cultivate it. His initial coins multiplied as the farm produced crops he could sell in the busy markets along the city walls. That farm financed the purchase of a second piece of land, and then a third. So, my third piece of advice is, make your money work for you. It wouldn't be...
Ya kwanza ilikuwa pay yourself first 10%. Number 2 ilikuwa minimize your expenses. Don't waste your money on luxury just to be seen as rich. Number 3 ni invest your money. Let your money work for you. Sawa. By the way umesema kweli. Watu wa South Africa wataki kuwork. By Kenya, ingekuwa tukio South Africa. By the tungekuwa there. True. Kwanza wale watu wa ucha, wale watu wa ocha, wale watu wa ushago. Wale mtu anatoka Gaocha nenda Nairobi, ana take over Nairobi na fujo. Hao mbabi niambia sawa ngekuwa kwa hiyo ni South Africa. Buda tungekuwa tumeenda far. Ni ufala tu tuko nayo. Mobius ilisota juu ya kuiba doza kampuni, wakauzia kampuni fulani ya wazungu. Of course, nothing in Kenya goes well. Kila mtu akona greed. Be
honest to tell you that just saving 10% and controlling my expenses were enough to become wealthy. The real key was knowledge and wisdom. I realized that if I was going to invest and make my coins work for me, I needed to surround myself with people who were already doing so successfully. Thus, I began to ask questions, to listen, to read, and at times even to pay small fees in exchange for valuable lessons or
pay small fees for valuable lessons. Unanipata? Pay small fees for valuable lessons. Hata mimi lakini kitu inanisaidia, inanifungua akili because I would really want to buy someone. Mnajua mtu ni mdosi, naweza mwambia acha nikubaie tu lunch, unifunze venye naweza invest. Because the last, I think, is it the last live stream ama the previous live stream, we saw this woman mwenye alikuwa ana nini, what's it called, ana scama wase wenye ajui story ya kuinvest. Alikuwa naambia sijua inaitwa ikikuletwaje ya kupeana do, inika kupeana loans. What's the name of this thing? Why do I keep forgetting? Hiyo jini inapotea kwa nini? Hiyo jini iko hapa hivi. Si money laundering. Money inaitwa nini? Anyway, unaelewa video. Ule mother alikuwa anajua hiyo story ya kuinvest, lakini watu wengi walikuwa wanaelewa. Sasa alikuwa anaambia, wekieni pesa kwa banki yangu, nitaenda nikopeshe watu pesa yenyu, wakirudisha hii pesa na kupatia na interest ya ilikuwa sijui ni 20% ama 30%. Unanipata? Kumbe hivyo ndio watu walikuwa naskamiwa. But I'll be willing, by the way, hii pesa 254 amenitumia, nikapata Shylock, that's the word I was looking for. Shylock, I would really invest, by the way, na buy mtu mdosi lunch, enda nichanue hii kitu, because I really think it's important. I really need that. No maana unachikata before, nilikuwa na a few boys, tulikuwa tunaongea story ya kunyonga na the negative aspects, but nikaambia vijana, hii nini ndio iendelee, itabaki at least mtu analipa 1000, because hii lesson si free. Alafu unajua kitu umelipia utaicherish sana kushinda kitu umepewa free. Let's be honest. Ndio maana nakwambia mtu ametengeneza biashara na mtu ameachiwa biashara, mindset zao ni mbili tofauti. Kenya umelipia utaivalue more. Kitu umepewa free hautavalue. Sasa hata nikikuja nikwambie bro, usinyonge ama nikupatie hizi lessons na ni free, utajipata tu umerudi umenyonga. Rix, niwe naongelesha. Kitu dhuku hata kunyonya mboro ukiendelea kunyonga. But ukikuja ulipe hiyo 1000 before uende unyonge, utakuwa za lele lipa ile 1000 bure. Hapana. Una get? Anyway, to each his own.
Mentorship. Do you know what I avoided? Taking advice from people who, though well-intentioned, had no real financial success themselves. Why listen to the opinion of someone who never invested successfully or never invested at all? That would only waste my time and money. Every lesson I acquired helped me make fewer mistakes and spot more opportunities. Thus, my fourth piece of advice is invest in your financial education.
Hizi lessons nina mbio. Number 4 ni invest in your financial education. Number 1 was pay yourself first. Your 10% ni yako. Number 2, minimize your life, mitigate your expenses, punguza expenses zako. Number 3 ilikuwa let your money work for you, invest vizuri. Number 4 nimesema tu sahihi na nisha hiyo nimesema rata kaje bungoja.
My fourth piece of advice is invest in your financial education.
Invest in your financial education.
I saw how many of my fellow citizens lamented letting opportunities slip through their fingers. I learned that in business, good fortune usually smiles on those who make decisions promptly and with clear information. This doesn't mean jumping in blindly. You must investigate enough to understand the risk and the potential reward. If you see the potential is good and the risks are reasonable, act. One of the best examples I recall was during the expansion of Babylon's city walls. Some of my acquaintances noticed how laborers were moving to certain areas, sparking the growth of new markets. While some waited in doubt, others bought land or opened shops in those areas. Very quickly, those who took action profited as the population grew. There are many who keep waiting and miss out while others reap the rewards. That is why my fifth piece of advice is never let opportunities pass you by. I have seen up close how people ruin themselves.
Watu ngapi tuna complainingi that Bitcoin zile enzi zake Bitcoin ilianza sijui ilikuwa how much. Watu wengi wakasema Bitcoin hakuna mali inaenda. Ni ufala. Sasa kuna Bitcoin billionaires, kuna Bitcoin nani millionaire na ile currency ile nchi fulani. Si yetu hapa.
Buying things that generate only expenses. Conversely, those who focus on acquiring assets that produce more income than they cost will prosper. A friend of mine once craved a chariot adorned with gold. Yes, it was splendid, but very expensive to maintain and offered no real financial return. Before long, he had to sell it to pay off debts. On the other hand, I knew an artisan who purchased a simpler chariot, then rented it out to merchants who needed to transport goods. In a year's time, he earned enough to buy a second chariot. That was how he built his fortune, little by little. Learn this difference. An asset puts money into your pocket while a liability takes money out of your pocket. Therefore, my sixth piece of advice is, learn to distinguish between assets and liabilities.
On God, bruh. On God. Like, yeah. watu wangu. Hamkuniambia nimeweka screen vitu zangu hapa. Hamkuniambia nimeacha screen hapa. Mimi natingiza kichwa nadhani mnasikiza, kumbe niko poleni. Kade. We. Sasa shida tunakukrix hata mja notice. Poleni.
Finally, there is never any shortage of charlatans who promise easy riches. In my time, some claimed to have secret routes for bringing in gems at low cost, or presented business plans that were far too good to be true.
Yep, jialini liability. Of course it is. Hata alikuwa niseme kila story kwa niwaambie easy silver. Zile tunajichoka kununua sisi watu tulikuwa ghetto growing up. We used to think kuwa na pesa ni ilikuwa bracelet, chain karibu 3 ama 4 ama 5, mapetko zimejaa kwa nini, simu expensive, the new phone. Zote ni liability. No man. Hizi lessons zimekuwa, but nashukuru hizi lessons zimekuja saini kikwa bila kitu. Yeah. Nice.
Many, blinded by greed, fell into their traps and lost everything. That is why my 7th piece of advice is simple. Keep your eyes open and your mind awake. Investigate thoroughly. Do not place blind trust in anyone who cannot provide solid results. When in doubt, consult with someone who truly understands that field. Not even I, the richest man in Babylon, give advice in an area outside my expertise.
Isn't that the way people these days wanakula na vijana wa forex? Because I think hiyo story ya forex, watu wengi waja investigate, waja do their proper background check, but wanaingia hiyo story ya forex mbio bila kupiga their background check poa. Hiyo si kitu I think inafanyika. Because hizi vitu zote anasema by this ina make sense. And looking at it, I'm thinking about this is like this old money. Na ukiangalia hizi njia zote za old money, most of the people wenye wanatu rule sahi Kenya wana move na hii design ya old money. Ukiangalia poa, ama politician wote tuliona pale hivyo, wote wana move design ya old money.
Everyone should speak only of what they know, and you, as an investor, must learn to filter the information you receive.
The 7 teachings that lifted me from poverty to wealth are: pay yourself first, control your expenses, make your money work for you, educate yourself financially, never let opportunities pass you by, distinguish between assets and liabilities, avoid bad or uninformed advice. There is no mystery, no magic, not even an extraordinary stroke of luck. There is, however, patience, discipline, and the unwavering decision to learn from every step you take. That is how true financial freedom is forged here in ancient Babylon, and how you can forge it in your own time as well. May these lessons guide you to build your own fortune, just as they guided me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your wisdom. Thank you. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa video. Sasa hiyo ndio ilikuwa video ya mwisho. Bro, no. I'm not saying forex is fake. Bro, it's not fake. I 100% know forex ni real. Anasema forex is real, bro. Usually it takes 2 to 3 years of hard work and dedication, but where ukisikia give me your money, I will trade for you, ndio unaoshwa hakunaga kitu ituka easy money, you must work for it. Yeah, true. Me, I know. It's so weird. Even the first time I heard about kitu history ya forex, kunasi walikuwa meenda kwa hii show fulani inaitwa Fresh and Fit. Wasi walikuwa meenda show ya Fresh and Fit. Kuna American fly, kuna jamaa fulani mu American ako very kuna success na historia ya forex kabisa. Yani mtu ana magari sijui ngapi na kuna success ya forex. Hapo ndo mali ilikuja kumjulianga the first time. Next thing naona ni Sammy Boy ameanza pia kuingia na historia ya forex. So I know it's real for those people who put in the work and understand the game. but saisi hata mimi nikuja kuambia lazima tujue venye game inachezwa. The know it all and when you ajui weka ka already Pastor Ng'ang'a anajua psychology, anajua mentality, anajua hapa nikigusa hii nerve niwaambie walete do watamletea do. Same thing mimi na mtu anajua forex hujui forex na mbona maisha yako ni flashy na anataka pesa haraka na ushamwambia hakuna hasara, hakuna literally ndakurudishia pesa yako na interest. Nisipokurudishia na interest na kurudishia venye pesa yako ulinipea, nani atakata hiyo? Yeah, Alex G anaitwa hivyo. Yeah. Hey, na ile Instagram ya ule msee na tu kutoka mbio. Hey, the guy is clean. Msafi. Msafi sana. Sawa. Mimi nataka kusema asante sana. Napenda hii live stream. Hata ungejua ati before tulikuwa tumekatiwa stima. Na really nenda east. Yeah, napenda hii live stream. I love this sana. Roho yangu yote inanifurahisha sana. Asanteni kwa kila mtu aliweza kutune in, amebaki hadi sai. Na kuna wale watu wali drop which I understand manze. It's Friday, so everyone has something to do. And thank you for the little time you took out of your day and you decided to stick around. I appreciate it. Thank you for the likes, thank you for the comments. Kichwa 254 manze ubarikiwe. Inaitwaje? Is it pockets? What's the word they say? When your nini never run dry. Hiki tunajuanga tu nikifika saa kuongea napotea. But anyway, acha niseme pockets. But nimesahau there's a good word hapo hivyo. May your pockets never run dry. Malio ndio wako imetoka mazizi digi kutoka hapo. Unapata? Na appreciate sana. At least sasa kuna watu wamewekewa membership juu yako. And that's a big deal to me. Na nashukuru sana. Na kutoka tu sasa live stream niangalie kenye umenekea kwa M-Pesa. Mimi tunasema asanteni sana kwa kila mtu. Rix, tushakuongelesha story ya kunyonga. Na mimi nakushukia ni la kunyonga ketu utakuwa tu namuona hata kulwa na mtu anyongi. Haya Mark, thank you for your wisdom. Khalid, kawaida yako, very wise. Kuna mtu wangu pia la ametu challenge mentally. Neshi 10, napenda sana mentality yako. Vince, my guy. W. Hao wengine wako wapi? Memphis, W mtu wangu. Najua kukaa sana. Upia nakonga gamer. So nikushwalia. Musa, sijiko ulienda lakini asante my G. Na appreciate sana kila mtu alikuwa ametune in. Sawa. In case kuna mtu sijataja na alikuwa hapo nisamehe. And to Maureen, I really wanted you to come but I'm thankful at least you challenged us. Leo tumeongea vitu tofauti zenye tuongeleangi but hata tu kusema asante. Sawa. And do not be afraid kuchukua criticism. Remember hii kazi tunafanya cause tunataka kugrow na tunataka kugrow pamoja. Sawa, me believe in going far. Utakwenda far unaenda na mtu. So Maureen, thank you for the nice comment you made. I hope you live stream ita change life. I'm saying cause me name and change life. Yo cause party ya fanya kitu unataka tu kenye wewe umechagua kufanya. Hiyo ndio success. Shit. Imeni nice kabisa. Na ule kijana yenye alisema jenzi si shida. At least sasa amejua shida si nyinyi. Man, I need to find this formula. Nataka kujua formula yake ni gani and start making videos kama hizo. Like man, W stream msanii naona ashamuona amefika na nifunya hivi kama acha na mzarada yako. May your well never run dry. Thank you. May your well never run dry. Tuko. Sami, wazi. Kwazi, asante kutokea. Na appreciate tu kila mtu sana. Have a good rest of your night. Na naomba tu mkue safe, msifanye kitu illegal lenye inaweza waham. And before I leave, nataka kuwasomea Proverbs of the day. Kawaida, sisi waacha bila kitu. Na ni Proverbs chapter 3, verse 21 inasema, my son, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Tajua mwizi ona vizuri cause iko reverse. Anyway. Okay, Proverbs chapter 3 verse 21 nasema, my son, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Preserve sound judgment and discretion. My son, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Preserve sound judgment and discretion. There will be life for you, an ornament to grace your neck. Sawa. Hiyo tu nitaambia msiache wisdom understanding out of your life. Yale msiache tu ujanja iwatoke kwa peripheral. Make sure ujanja tu iko hapa na hapa. Itakupeleka mbali na naomba itatupeleka mbali si wote. Sawa. Takatuamini God, but unachiki proverb lazima. Wisdom ni wisdom. Wisdom ni wisdom. Okay my people. Mimi na appreciate kila mtu sana na nawapenda sana na thank you for saving my life. Thank you. Amjui. Mungu aki amjui. Hai amjui aki. Gege amjui. Hey amjui. Guy. In future kuna watu watashukuru sana. Kuna watu watashukuru sana in future kwa kenye mlikuwa mnanifanyia during these tough times. As of now, let me just say thank you. Catch you guys on the next stream. For now, msanii, cheza kama wewe.
Kuwasilisha habari kwa njia ya muziki ni kazi ngumu. Kuna wengine walinicheka sana. Na wengine walinichukua kama mwenda wa simu. Kumbe maisha ya muziki ni kujikasa kimoyo. Usiposimama wima utaachana nayo, na hiyo ni talanta ambayo ulipewa na Mungu Baba. Na majaribu ni mengi sana ndipo itwe msanii. Msishangae nikitwa driver nice, kadhani ni mchezo. Nilitembea Kenya mzima na kuchapisha jina langu kwenye vioo. Ndio maana hivi leo mwatambua kama driver nice. Wasanii tujikase na muziki. Wasanii tujikase na muziki. Tujikase na muziki. Tujikase sana. Wasanii tujikase na muziki. Wasanii tujikase na muziki. Tujikase na muziki. Tujikase sana. Lakini wazazi wangu, baba yangu na mama yangu, dada zangu na ndugu zangu hawakujua kama wamechaliwa na msanii katika familia yao. Walikuja kugundua wakati wa mapumziko, walipokuwa wametoka shambani wakipumzikia sebuleni. Wakinitazama kwenye runinga, walinitazama kwenye runinga, walinifananisha sura yangu na ile ya runinga. Kama mtoto nilikimia sana, si eti nilikosa la kunena, kwa sababu ningenena ningeasikia mengi sana. Kama mtoto mpotevu amejitokezea katika familia yetu. Baba yangu na mama yangu waliamua watengeneze mjadala kati yangu